That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts and viewers of and lovers of Tolkien, to another stream. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2019, almost up to mid-August. It is 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And it is day 51 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Wilderland Adventures, sponsored as always by Cubicle 7. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to some awesome contesting, because we got some contests going on today with the crew and perhaps other things that we will discover as time goes on. But we will get there in just a bit. This is the beginning of a big day of streaming for the channel, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But before we get there, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. That is always appreciated. Please check out the YouTube with !ArvTube. Check out the Discord with !ArvCord. You can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. Please make sure to check out as well the website that has all the information about this, arvaneleron.com. That also has links to our audio podcast of Curse of Strahd, which is my D&D Infinity and Beyond campaign that is currently running, and so forth. And also check out the Twitter, !ArvTweets, and !Tweet will allow you to retweet the stream. Oh my god, Shadowed Mage with a resub for 24 total months. Wow. Thank you, Shadowed, so much, man. We've reached the two-year mark. See, this is why I really want them to broaden the sub badge thing to affiliates, because I have a 2 sub badge and a 3 sub badge. Like, I have it. I'm ready. So I can't wait to be able to do it. But thank you, Shadowed. I really appreciate that, man. Welcome, welcome. And I should say, by the way, that inspirations have been reset. So everyone is now, I believe, current. In fact, the only one that I'm not 100% sure of is I may have given an extra inspiration to someone who might have used one in the first couple of sessions when I did not have it set up. So I don't know. We'll have to double check. But thank you, Shadowed. I appreciate that very much. So yes, !Tweet will allow you to retweet the stream, and !ArvTweets will allow you to join my Twitter, so please do that. And I talk about lots of things over there, including writing and teaching and music and, of course, gaming and streaming and family and some politics thrown in there and some other stuff. So that is where you can find me when I'm not on this channel and not over at my website or doing other stuff. As for financial ways to support us, first of all, we have the shop, !ArvShop. Please don't forget that we've got Adventures in Middle-earth merchandise on there now with the AME crew. So we've got, the letters AME, we've got the crew, and then you can get different characters from the crew on the back or on the front, let us say, of your shirt, hoodie, whatever the case may be. So that's awesome, and you should, totally do that, because it'll be great, and that will also support us financially, so please consider jumping on board for that. And then we've got !Arvtreon, that is the Patreon, currently sitting at 324. Would love to see that get north of 350 again. Again, that's the sort of financial backing of the channel, the backbone of the channel, I should say. So that really does help us if people are able to support it. I would appreciate that very much. Definitely came in handy over the last few months when I was paying for videos and things that were going back into the channel, into my writing. And so it definitely makes a difference. So thank you, thank you. And then we've got, of course, last but certainly not least, that sub button, which Shadowed Mage was nice enough to just hit. We're currently sitting at about 47 subs or so. We want to get back over 50 again, of course, and head north again. But that always happens when we go live again. Then more people jump on board and resub and do all that kind of good stuff. So I have no doubt that will happen here as well. A couple of notes about schedule going forward. So we have got Adventures of Middle-earth happening right now. Then we have got at 4 p.m. Eastern, we will be over at GOG with Pen and Pixels and another day of Pathfinder Kingmaker. Oh, thanks, dude. Well, I appreciate that, man. I really am glad most of all that you got a job and that you're feeling good about things. That's the main thing. I'm really pleased that you're feeling better about all that. So, thanks, dude. So yeah, so !Arvtreon subs, etc. So, schedule. So I've got this going on. Then I'm going to be over, as I say, at Pen and Pixels with GOG, with Pen and Pixels over at GOG for Pathfinder Kingmaker. Next week we will have D&D with GOG over there. So we'll be back into pen and paper over there next week during Pen and Pixels. And then this evening at 9 p.m. we have got the Arvocalists make their triumphant return for some more Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. So that'll be happening tonight as well. So we got a busy night queued up for you. And then on Friday we have got, and let me actually double check because I think we had a couple of things that we had to do to adjust this. So on Friday, Friday, I think right now is listed as being Esper Genesis. That may end up changing. We may end up changing that up with possibly D&D with viewers this Friday, the 16th. We'll have to see how things go. Or if not, possibly some Deus Ex Human Revolution. Esper Genesis is almost locked in, but we've had a very difficult time doing this. Again, it's August, and August means vacation, and that means that scheduling with everybody, in addition to how busy all the writers are, is always a very difficult process. So we will get there. Fear not. It will definitely happen, but we have things that we have to do with that next. But we've got that, and then Saturday we definitely do have Dungeons & Dragons with Infinity Beyond, Curse of Strahd. Next week we've got Hearts of Wulin. Busy week next week. Hearts of Wulin on Monday. Then on Tuesday, we currently have Sherlock Holmes, but that's going to have to change, I believe, because I don't think... I think what will end up happening probably is we'll do the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game in the Month, and we'll do Sherlock Holmes afterwards. So we're going to do nominations today for the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game in the Month because Terry can't be here next Tuesday, but I believe she can be here in 2 Tuesdays. So we will see how that all goes. Yeah, the only issue with D&D with viewers, which I probably can still do, the only issue is the fact that I'm going to be up at a water park with my family, and so I'm going to be driving back from there, and I should be there in time for the stream to get started, but I think I'm going to try for D&D with viewers on Friday, so I think that's what we're going to do, if I can shout out for sure. Anyway, so Tuesday we've got Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month, and then D&D with GOG, as I said. Then Thursday of next week is Kat Rambo returns with the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers, her next class. This is going to be for everyone to view, but subs only will be able to actually comment, which is pretty cool, I think, because it gives people a sense. You can watch it and sort of partake in it, but you won't be able to ask questions unless you're a sub, just for that particular thing. But you'll still be able to see it, so I think that's a good compromise for me. And then Friday the 23rd, we have got some Deus Ex Human Revolution, probably, and or Esper Genesis. And then Saturday right now is listed for D&D with viewers, but that might end up being Deus Ex instead. So again, the schedule's a little bit in flux because, again, August is a thing. And then after that, Patreon Fueled, after that is done, then we've got Sherlock Holmes and Terry Toon's Live Illustrations the last week of the month, Pen and Pixels, Pathfinder Kingmaker, Esper Genesis, and then some last Deus Ex Human Revolution to close out the month of August and to get us moving into the fall. So that's what we've got squared away. It looks like it's going to be a fun month, and I'm excited for it. But right now, I am going to unmute myself so the folks know that we are ready to go. And then I am not going to open up my virus program, thank you. I am going to unmute them. That's what I was reaching for in my taskbar. And then I'm going to go over to, dun dun dun, 3 out of the 4.
Looks like an X with the line down through it and the
full crew.
Yes.
What do you want?
I'm just saying hi.
We're talking about Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull.
Oh, nice. just talk amongst yourselves. Sitting on a park bench. That's fine. I got it is Jethro Tull, the ultimate compensation band. It is rock flute. All right, it's totally rock flute. It is good to see everybody, and yes, we are here with the lovely crew, and ready to get into some Tolkien adventuring with Adventures of Middle-earth. So I will start, as I usually do, with the gentleman who happens to be right below me on the column, but not right below us in our hearts, and that, of course, is Mr. Trendane Sparks, who is sort of awake, kind of, semi-awake. How you doing, Trend? How's life, the universe, and everything, sir?
I would say I'm animate.
Okay.
But not alive.
Seems okay, fair enough. You do look to be in somewhat animate. I would say that's true. Have you sent in all of your Beyond Skyrim voiceover things?
Yeah, well, all the generic stuff, yes.
Okay.
No. Well, I mean, I recorded it.
Right, but I remember seeing that, so that's why I was asking.
I haven't sent it in.
Okay.
In fact, I forgot I made it until you mentioned it.
What? I thought this was critically important too. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It's important. It's just I forgot that I did it.
Well, now you've been reminded. So.
All right. Well, I'll go edit it, and you guys can.
No. No, we're gonna need you here for this contest that's gonna be happening. So it's gonna be.
All right. We were supposed to tell Will about that, weren't we?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll tell him. It's fine. I expected you'd be instead talking about important things like Jethro Tull.
We're talking about runes, actually.
Okay.
But Jethro Tull, because they have runes around the border of the album cover for Broadsword and the Beast. So that's what we were talking about.
Like I said, compensation. Who are you playing today, Trent?
The ever compensating Tawny Bear the Hearthminder, or compensator. He's a guy, a Beorning, dude, very big, very very large, huge, and he's hiding out in a hotel room.
Yes, basically. Because, of course, he has a history with the place where he is, and the Battle of the Five Armies, and the memory of it still is with him. And so he is thinking about that as the folks go off to do what they're going to do. That leads us to, and it'll be interesting to see how Tawny reacts to certain things that will happen in this very adventure. But first, let's talk to Will. Mr. Will Jones is with us, the leader and the commander-in-chief of, I wish of our country, but just for now, the commander-in-chief, the commander-in-chief of Kobold Press, Twitch's channel, Kobold Press's Twitch channel, and other things, Encounter Roleplay. How are you, Will? How's life, the universe, and everything with you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm working on that Commander-in-Chief for America.
First, I guess you need to be here officially, right?
I need to get there first.
Yeah,
and then,
okay, right.
Yeah, and then we're working on the paperwork from there.
We're ready for you. We're ready for anyone, really, except who we have.
Yeah, maybe I'll run. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. Having a good time and just getting a coffee to wake up. The recap given to me by our companions here by the fellowship was good. I feel like I definitely know that some conversation with Gandalf happened.
Great.
And Jeff Rotel was involved.
Yeah.
So that's where Robar is at, who I'm going to be playing today, who's a grumpy old man I guess he is an old man in a way.
Technically.
Yeah. In a slightly younger looking grumpy man's body. He's going to be trying to impress today, it sounds like. Last time we did competitions, didn't go well for us.
Hey, I got an axe out of it. So
you did get an axe.
That's true.
I'm trying to think what Robar's skills are, and I think the only thing would be archery. So let's hope there's some archery ranges out there today, and Robar can show off.
Indeed, there is going to actually be some bow work being done, and I'm sure that Inga's going to have fun talking about her relative skill of archery comparatively. She's just gonna be like, you remember the goblin at the wooden hall and how I took them down?
Right.
Remember in the dark and how awesome that was. But I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Yes, absolutely. And something you said, I would just when you were talking about Gandalf and you were talking about Jethro Tull, I just had this image of a video that starts with Gandalf just kind of leaning in and then being like, in the Conan jungle. Like, I just did this image of him starting to break into like whatever the hell the name of that's the jungle song that I can't remember already. Anyway, from Jethro Tull. Something about Gandalf and rock flute appeals to me, but always a pleasure. Glad to have Will with us today. Also glad to have Kerflop, who was resubbed for 12 months. Kerflop has the highly coveted bronze quill now. Thank you, Kerflop. And of course, Kerflop, who just showed me the awesome custom pen that he made for Brahms that he gave away for ArfCon a couple of months ago. It's done and it looks awesome. So thank you, Kerflop, so much, dude. I appreciate it. And again, inspirations are all caught up. So everyone has got their inspirations and they should be ready to go. So, but thank you, Will. Looking forward to seeing how Robar handles things today. Last but certainly not least, also as always, looking forward to seeing how things are handled by Inga, daughter of Ida. And the person who will be rendering that will, of course, be Terry Tunes. Hello, Terry. How are you and how's life with you in the universe?
Oh, things are pretty good here. Temperature dropped tremendously during the past weeks. Like, I literally froze this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to wear long sleeves this morning. Otherwise, and it's the middle of August, so that's the thing. But yeah, other than that, all is fine and dandy. I am playing Inga, daughter of Ida. Wow. Some time jump. Guess we're
I was just going to say,
parents.
This is what happens when you talk about Doctor Who in the green room before the show starts. And all of a sudden everyone's just like, I want to play the mom now.
And it's portrayed by having the same actor play it, but with a wig.
Right,
something.
exactly. Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do these things.
Right,
the Star Trek aging method where it's just here, have some wrinkles and some white hair and
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is a wanderer and a stonemason by trade, and she has a trusty pony sidekick named Lilleman.
Very
Very good boy.
who is a very good boy. Yeah, and there is, of course, quite a bit that's going to be happening soon with her and with her imminent return back to meet with Diane and her family. So there's going to be some interesting stuff happening, but we will see when we reach that because, of course, first we have to be able to see what's going on at the moment with what we see here as I restart those things. Make sure they got this running. Good. There's my little sound.
And Will, we all got gifts.
Sweet. What I
yes.
get?
Oh, right.
Everybody got gifts, and I need to remember what. Oh, yes, I do remember.
Oh, good, because I don't.
I do. Well, I hope you remember your own gifts. Tani, you were
because you don't. I mean,
right.
I know I got the honeycomb.
Yeah, you got the honeycomb.
And Inga got the reins.
No, Inga got the chisel. She did get the reins, but she also got the chisel. From that was her husband's that she had owned, and the river ended up getting this beautiful lute. Harp. Beg your pardon, harp, which was the harp that she had seen that she really wanted when she was walking around, and somehow Gandalf managed to get it for her. Yes, that is
nothing.
That is right. I'll talk about why the river is not here in just a second, Kerflop. So what Robar ended up getting from Gandalf as a gift was a brooch that had an ancestral crest, basically, of the Stauntons. So it has essentially like these interlocking S.
Wait.
Yes.
I meant to talk to you about that design because it does not fit with the design aesthetic of the Lord of the Rings, and maybe we should talk about making a more fitting.
What does not fit the design? Listen, if you want to make a crest for him that would fit the design aesthetic, I'm all about it. That's
heraldry is actually one of my hobbies, so.
No, please. Then I would love to do that, but it's got to have an interlocking S with something. Okay, You got to have interlocking S as long as it interlocks.
S, it's like the sign for hope.
I'm throwing this gift back, Gandalf. I don't want it. Redesign it.
Well, maybe
give it back to me.
Maybe it's just a curved sort of blade thing, and when you throw it, it turns into like an S thing and just starts.
You're an officer and a gentleman, Tren. I know exactly, and you all soon will know what Tren speaks of too. But we're gonna all be secretive about it. But thanks, man. That's very kind of you. No, I do not think it is those things. So I am happy to have, of course, Inga design it in such a way that it will fit appropriate Lord of the Rings heraldry conditions and circumstances.
And by Inga, he means Terry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I do mean Terry. I actually mean Ida.
Shit about heraldry.
Yeah, I mean Ida. Could your mom actually put it together? And go? That'd be great.
No, but Lilliman can step on some metal until it turns into the right shape.
Oh my God. But yeah, no. So Terry's going to do that, and that's awesome. But anyway, that's what all of you received. They were all sort of personally relevant gifts to all of you. And speaking of the river and her harp, so Amal had told us that it was unlikely she was going to be able to do this because she is traveling. She's got a lot of stuff that she's doing, and she's going to be in Dublin for Worldcon, which is going on right now. Alas, I had hoped that I could be there as well, but I could not swing it financially, so I am not. But a lot of people are there, and so good luck to everyone, friends of mine who were up for Hugo's, and I hope everyone has great paneling and talks and readings and has a chance to explore Dublin and do all that awesome stuff while you were there. But we will continue with awesome gameplay because that's what we get to do. So let me summarize a little bit about what happened in a rather.
We don't have to be an island.
Last session, exactly. We can be in multiple different places and it's fine. Who needs Ireland anyway? He said, weeping silently. So let's talk a little bit about what happened during our last session. In our last session, the party, of course, which has arrived at Dale for the celebration, the 5-year anniversary of the Battle of Five Armies, is in the process of basically kind of getting a sense of what the town is all about. So they went around, they actually participated in some contests, and then they ended up getting there, basically speaking to one Gandalf the Grey, who talked to them a little bit about what it is that he had heard from Radagast the Brown, and also what they had seen specifically about the spirit that they had discovered in the chain that they saw in the Dwimmerhorn, in their dreams when they were actually caught, beneath the dungeons of Dol Guldur, and so on. And also the connection that this has to some of the bandit uprising, things like Vigland and all these ones that had to be put down by the party, what was going on with all of this and what was sort of rooting all of it. And what Gandalf told the party about was this creature called the Gibbet King, a spirit which had allied itself with the Necromancer. The Necromancer.
That's a dope name, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm stealing. I'm stealing that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly. The Gibbet King does not apparently mess around, and Gandalf has been concerned about this shadow and what it is as it begins to grow and kind of exert its influence. It is definitely an older shadow. It is not some kind of, like small town con man just trying to kind of, get
a
one over on the
local shadow.
Basically, it's not like
local
it's not
shadows
like
near you.
it's not the Sheriff of Nottingham, you know what I'm saying? It's bigger than that, basically. And so this creature, which Gandalf said he himself sensed below the dungeons of Dol Guldur when he had been there himself and had found Thrain, Thorin's father, and had gotten the map and the key and all that kind of stuff from him. He had felt this presence of the Gibbet King, and so he is very concerned and warned the party that they need to be aware of its presence and be conscious that its time is coming where they will need to strike back against it whenever that happens. So basically, keep your head on a swivel, if I'm going to put it into modern terms. At which point he said that he needed to leave and find out more details about it in Gandalf's way. He usually tells you something very ominous and then bails out. That's kind of how Gandalf usually does things. And so he did that here as well and ended up leaving while the party was left to handle things here. Now remember, the party was also here for their own purposes. Tani was there to support his friends and was and remains very uncomfortable to do so given where he had been there. But actually at the end of our last session, there was a real heart-to-heart between Tani and I believe the River last time, who talked to, basically describing what he had done, the kind of person he had been, how he didn't like to remember that he had been that kind of person. And there was some really powerful moments kind of exchanged between the two of them. Inga, of course, is here to meet with Dain, to speak with her family, whom she has not seen for some years, and also to hopefully gather supplies and so forth for some of the people to the west of Mirkwood, in particular some people, her friend Barinald, who was killed during the action against Vigland. She had promised that she would try to bring some supplies back, and dwarven supplies to basically help the people in Mountain Hall. But the main reason that she's there is to meet with Dain because he invited her, and so that's kind of a cool thing that you would go to do. Robar is here because he wants to gather supplies and bring them west of Mirkwood to help rebuild much of the territory that has been destroyed by the invasions of Vigland and by the bandits. Black Tom and his crew has been essentially destroyed as any kind of force that could bring people back together, and so he needs a lot of help, and so he has come to ask for that help from some of the people here who will be at the Battle of Five Armies, including King Bard. And lastly, the River was sent in part by Radagast to keep tabs on this thing with the shadow, but also to gather information for the woodmen west of Mirkwood, the forest. One point that I haven't had a chance to make over the last few sessions, but I want to make now, is that since we're not in a world where we have here, internet, cell phone, easy access to communication, the ways that communication is done usually is directly or by sometimes hawk or eagle, but it's not like everyone has access to Harry Potter style owl post, like not many people have access to that unless they're wizards. And so that means that a lot of news has to be sent in person, basically. And that's why these back and forth kind of exchanges are so incredibly important. And so that's why the party is there. But when the party arrived, of course, they found that this whole celebration was going on, and then they've heard this detail from Gandalf. As I begin to hand things over to the party, I want to set the scene for them. Tani is back in the inn, the sort of trying to forget his sorrows, so to speak, and kind of stay holed up until they can get the hell out of this place. In the meantime, Robar, Inga, and the River have gone forth to sort of join with some of the revelry of this masquerade ball, and now that it is they did the masquerade ball. Now it's the next day, they've gone forth to take part in these athletic competitions. While they were at the party, they met a number of relatively some people that were famous to them, some people that were not. Bombur the Great, who is called great, maybe not because he's great, but just because he's big. Bomber the Great was looking even bigger than ever when he was there, and was there sort of talking, eating as per usual and doing a bunch of other things. He was in attendance there. Bard himself actually was there, although he was in deep conversation with King Dain of the Iron Hills, now, of course, the King Under the Mountain, and very clearly was in the please don't bother me, I'm busy, talking royal stuff with people at the time. But next to Bard was Elstan, a tall, gray-eyed, gaunt man who has this gleaming armor and is essentially, it seems like, his bodyguard, like basically doesn't, move from his side, so he's constantly looking around the party while this was going on. Gerald was a Bjorning, a huge man, not unlike Tani himself, who was there kind of enjoying himself and the festivities. There was an elf maid with a bow who was there as well. The party actually, I don't believe, ever discovered who that person's name was, but she was there and present. And then last was a person named, the last two, excuse me, were called, first of all, I believe his name was Bannock, the merchant, who was wearing this great sun mask and was talking about how excited he was to be part of the festivities here and how he's bankrolling part of this event because his family had suffered in the Battle of the Five Armies and he was glad that he had the chance to kind of give back now that things have recovered and so on and so forth. And lastly, Herod the Fool, a jester who was dressed in motley, an older man, actually, who was sort of dancing around and capering and all that sort of thing, who at one point had a discussion with Bannock and seemed to be in even better spirits than he was before. So those are some of the people that the party met at this masked ball. And the next day, when they arose, they found a contest poster, which I will post up here on chat for people who did not previously see it. And it looked like that. It is in honor of this day, a contest. Archery, strength. Yeah, the indigenous American bread thing. Yes, exactly, Shadow. Archery, strength, and horsemanship. A purse of silver for each and a grand melee. A chest of gold for the winner. All participants shall be feasted and honored. Entrants should present themselves at the contest field before noon. And when the party, minus Tawny Bear, went to present themselves, they discovered indeed that there were 3 different kinds of contests plus this grand melee. There is archery, there is horse riding, and there is strength. And then there will be the grand melee, which takes place after that. Now, what I believe ended up happening, and everyone's going to have to remind me again, is that I think Inga signed up along with Robar for archery, I believe is what happened.
Okay.
I think that Inga also... Who signed up for the horse riding, if anybody? Did the River sign up for that?
River might have.
I don't remember if anybody did or not.
Robar probably wouldn't have. I think
Probably not, right?
I
he
think
would
she
just
did.
do.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
she
The
signed
River.
up for that. And then there was a strength contest, and I don't remember if anyone had decided to sign up for the strength contest or not, because Tani was the logical choice, but he's not there. And so I think...
Chicks, strength score.
Yeah.
No, I have 13 strength. I'm just going to embarrass myself.
So do I.
All right.
It's
So
like
then,
just above average, really.
okay, so then if you're not going to participate in that, so we basically got 2 of those contests, but I believe at least Inga and Robar, and I don't remember if the River was, had signed up for the melee, the grand melee, which was going to happen after all of this. Does that connect with people? Does that jive with your own memories? I think that's who we had sign up for it.
Sounds like the Grand
Never
Melee's.
about the river, but Inga definitely.
Yeah, Robar would enter for the chance of
Yeah, I
impressing the
figured you
king,
would,
I think. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what I think we're going to do while Tani is hanging out here is, if you would not mind doing some of the rolling for the River, Tren, that would probably be useful since the River is not here, or Amal is not here, I should say. And I can give you control over things if needed. So let me know if
That is needed.
Okay, give me 1 second then. I'm sure she will not mind.
Depends on how I roll, doesn't it?
Let me edit that. Can be edited and controlled by...
Well, the River's really good at rolling today.
Okay, I gave you control. Do you need to be able to see it? I guess you probably do, just in case. There we go.
Thank you.
Now you should have control over both. Good.
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. So the competition is actually going to begin, and in each of these cases, there is a qualification round, and then there is the actual round itself. And so the first qualification round is going to be for archery. And so as people get ready and get set up for this, people start to join up together. And as Inga and Robar, as you sort of step up in the line for people that are there, you sort of measure some of your targets here. You notice that there are a few people, one man who looks kind of rough and ready and has kind of a rough bow of yew. He might have even crafted it himself. There is another dwarf, not the same dwarf, Inga, who did the axe throwing contest, but there is another dwarf there who is participating. And then there is also the elf girl from last night's masquerade ball that you can see there. And I use that term advisedly because although it's always dangerous to guess the age of an elf, this definitely does not look like she is, very old as elves go, which means she's probably still a couple hundred years old, but you know what I'm saying. She looks younger, and the bow that she carries looks almost as big as her itself. She has a very slender frame and these dark eyes that set off her lighter hair. And so all of you sort of step up to the plate here. And so as you get up here, there is a wreath which is nailed to a wide wooden board. And what contestants are asked to do is to put your arrows inside the circle inscribed within the wreath, or to at least hit the wreath itself. But the qualification rounds in these particular cases, in each qualification round, you're going to have to roll a perception roll to compensate for wind and distance, because the wind whipping down from the Lonely Mountain all along the sort of plains and, to where Dale is, means that it's going back and forth quite a bit today, which is not optimal, conditions for an archery contest, but them's the breaks. What's up, Nonstop? Good to see you, man. And so it means that you folks are ready to go. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do is I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask everybody to roll a 20-sided die, just a flat 20, and let me know what you get. This is to determine who is going to get the right order.
Hey, natural 20.
Hey,
Oh, damn.
way to use that before the targeting.
Yeah. 4. Ooh.
So maybe you guys will switch positions next time. Maybe that's how that will work. All right, let's see how they do. All right, we have a 3 from the rough and ready guy.
River isn't in the archery contest.
Right.
Never mind.
So we have got a rough and ready guy. I think I'm just going to call him Jethro Tull. So Jethro. Jethro has got a 3. The dwarf, as yet unnamed, you don't know what his name is this time, has got a 6, and then the elf has got a 9, and let's see what you folks have. So Inga's got a 20. And Robar with a 4. Okay. Now, in this particular case, this is just sort of, you're getting to decide who goes first by just random lots. And so you don't, like you did in previous contests, actually get to decide who goes first, second, and third. Like if you wanted to go last, you don't have the opportunity to do that in this particular case. This is just who goes first. So that means that Inga is going to be up first. And in this first round, Inga, what you need to do, first of all, is to get a perception check to make the actual sort of compensate for the wind. And this roll, I will tell you, is going to require a DC 15. Now, here's the thing about that's beneficial for this. If you fail the qualification test, you don't necessarily fail the final, like the actual roll itself to see if you hit the target. But if you succeed in that test, then you will get advantage on the actual roll for the contest. So this perception roll is worth getting right, basically.
Okay, so I roll perception.
Perception first, yes. 6. So you're kind of like, it's hard, Inga, because again, the wind is just, whoosh, and just keeps swirling more than anything else. So you're like, So now you will actually get the chance to try to hit the actual target. DC you're looking for here, by the way, is 15.
Okay, so I just roll an attack.
Yes, you're going to be rolling, but it's your ranged attack bonus, so you're getting your full ranged attack on this. Just hit it, but you did hit it. It just sort of is right on the edge, which is sort of like, oh man, but you succeeded. So you pass through then to the second qualification round, and the crowd cheers, and you're slapped on the back several times, and then the
More damage.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Then the elf girl gets up next, and you actually hear some whispering that the name of this elven girl is Galia, and that apparently Galia is well known for being underestimated by her opponents, and you can see why, as her shot is like not quite dead center, but pretty damn close. So she quietly but efficiently moves into the second qualification round as well. Next to go is the dwarf, and the dwarf too, dead center almost of the target, also proceeds to that second qualification round, and that leads us to Robar.
Robust us to sweat as everyone else is in it.
Well, remember, first you got that perception check, so first you get to do that. And I will remind Chad that you can inspire him if you wish. You could. The inspirations are current. Oh, wow.
28.
So you're just like, you're like, everything is just like, you see the spiral of the wind, like it's like
the
Batman
Matrix
vision.
goes past. Yeah.
Man, okay.
Arrow time.
So you have advantage, that means, on this next roll. So you have advantage on this attack. It's a ranged attack.
Not 20.
And it's a good thing you had it. Wow. Straight down the whoop-low. You actually split the other arrow in two, and everyone's like, oh. And you hear people whispering, like, doing it in.
I look at the elf girl, and I'm like...
You just, like, stare her down.
Yeah. It's Robar Hood.
she just kind of looks at you and, nods once. And that leads to Rough and Ready Guy. So Rough and Ready Guy gets up, and Rough and Ready Guy, probably sort of thrown off by what you do, is like it actually hits the ground, not even that close to the target, and so he kind of angrily stalks off, sort of furious with himself. You can also see, by the way, that Bannock himself is now watching and smiling as the rounds continue, as we move on to the second qualification round. And as all of you who have passed on, which is to the next round, which is Inga, Galia, the dwarf, and Robar, are sort of smiling at each other, you see the stewards of the competition come out and move the target back about 15 feet. So they move the target back from you, and the wind picks up a little bit, you notice, and it is now again Inga's turn. Inga, your qualification on this one is going to be a 20. So you're going to have to make a perception check first, and you're trying to get that DC 20, and then you'll be making the roll. So, and again, chat, before you roll, don't forget, chat, inspirations that are current, you can inspire on the perception roll if you wish. I'm not going to allow you to inspire, though, on the actual contest roll, because that would kind of not make any sense. The whole point of this is to see how the perception works. But if you wish to inspire, you may inspire them if you want to do so. So I will give chat a moment to decide if they wish to or not. It is up to chat. You can decide, it's just a competition. Whatever. We want to save it for something serious. And it looks like they're going to let you twist in the wind. So, literally. All right, Terry. So here you go. So again, perception first. You're just having a hard time sighting it. Last time you managed to compensate anyway, but you're just kind of like, oh, God. Like sand in your eye, and just, it's difficult. So now you've got to make the roll. So again, your full ranged attack bonus, but you got to get a 20. Yeah, it just goes spiraling off more or less in the same place, and there's kind of a disappointed sigh from the crowd. And again, a person slaps you in the back, and you look around, and it's the same person both times. Just kind of like in Waterboy, the movie, where the guy's like, "You can do it," whether it's good or bad. Like, that's what this guy is doing. He just sort of, says, "Oh," and he kind of shakes his head, and the stewards sort of sadly gesture you away from the main group, Inga. And Galia steps up, and Galia sort of sights carefully, and then and again, close to the center of the target. Very little difficulty. Sort of doesn't even smile, just kind of nods and then steps aside. And now the other dwarf goes, and the other dwarf does far worse than you, if that makes you feel any better, Inga. Like, not anywhere close to the target at all. He just, like, goes flying off somewhere. Like, the crowd is like, oh, like, has almost ducked out of the way. It's such a bad shot. And shakes his head and walks away, you know, sort of steps away muttering, can't possibly do this in a tornado, you know, like yelling about how the conditions are terrible and so forth. And that leaves you, Robar, as you step up to the plate. First, you need this perception roll, and then you got to make the actual roll.
I look down the end of the course. 21.
Yep. So you've got advantage on that roll. So you're like, there it is. Well, bam.
Whew.
So you look at it, and now you have advantage on this roll, Robar. You got to get that 20 on the final roll.
Come on. Really want it. Balls.
Oh, man. It is a pretty good shot, but not good enough. It just misses to the right side. And there's kind of like a sort of an angry kind of yell from the crowd. And that means that Galia is the only one who is left. And as she steps up to the line, because she does actually have to hit the target for her to win. Actually, that's true. You're not necessarily out of it, because if she doesn't hit in this final target, then we'll see. They move it back even a little bit further. So they back it off just a bit. And she makes her perception roll, sort of sights coolly down the bow, and misses. So she actually just misses off to the side. And there's a gasp from the crowd, and everyone kind of looks around and looks back. And what that means is that all the people who missed in the last round, which is Inga, Robar, and the dwarf. No, I'm sorry, the dwarf was... Yeah, the dwarf, too. All get a chance to go again. So you are given a new lease on life, as it were. And so you are now given the chance to compete against this. So... let me do the dwarf here. Okay. All right. So we start with Inga again. Same DC on this one. No, I'm sorry. This is the final round. So, okay, it wouldn't matter anyway. You're not going to get the perception on that. So the DC on this one is, I said, just a little bit harder. It's a 21 instead of a 20.
Can I just like put my entire PC into dice jail?
This is what happens. You got that nat 20 initially, and that's, I told you, is, you know. Nope, sadly no. If that perception check would have helped, but unfortunately does not work. So again, Inga off to the side. The dwarf comes next. The dwarf does make his perception roll. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The dwarf misses his perception roll and then misses the attack roll badly. So so the dwarf, again, mutters about unfair, wrong, etc. And that leads us to Robar. Robar,
oh,
so
no.
again, perception.
Okay. I'm so stressed. So stressful. 18 on the perception.
18 perception is not enough. So you're not quite able to get what you need. So now you got to make a roll. Just try to hit. Yeah, not so much. Unfortunately, you're not able to do it, and that leads us to Galia. And Galia misses again. So wow, the wind is really rough though at this point. And the crowd is starting to get a little restless. They're kind of like, you know, they're
almost got to hit it.
Targets. And, yeah, exactly. So we go back up to the top. Inga, you go again.
Oh no.
Perception first.
Boy. 22?
There it is. So
That's
that
more
actually,
like
so you now will get advantage on that roll. You finally, the air clears enough from the sand and dust and everything for you to get a beat on the target.
Not that it matters.
Even with a 17, not quite enough. It would have been in a previous round, but not this one. It's close, but you do miss. And the crowd sort of groans sadly. Now the dwarf steps up. And you'll have heard this before. He misses again and kind of is getting super angry. Like you could see like the bow is creaking alarmingly, like he's pulling too hard on the string and everything. Like it's just, he's not pleased with these current circumstances. Okay, and that leads us to Robar.
Got this.
Okay.
I believe in you.
Perception first.
Favor, no 17 on.
It's not bad, but not good enough. So
I'm so close on these perception checks.
Yep.
The heart of the arrows.
Dum dum. Dum dum.
exactly.
21!
21 is a hit, so you actually
Oh
hit the
my-
target, and now the pressure is on Galia, actually. So Galia steps up, and her perception roll fails, so she doesn't do that, and now she has to just sight, and... Wow.
Swear to God, she hits.
Her arrow hits directly next to yours, and the stewards run over, and they kind of look at it, and they sort of shrug, and they cannot determine who is closer. And so it means that the battle is between you and her. So you are the only ones that are left. Inga and the dwarf are now out, so it's Robar and Galia.
So like Inga, like what Inga does now is like she does the whole like when like two boxers are in the ring, right? And
Right.
like the coach is like at the corner of the ring. It gives like the shoulder rub and like says like motivational things. And,
Yeah,
like,
Okay.
You
Yeah,
can do it. I was expecting you were gonna be there, and when Galia takes a shot, you're gonna be like, miss it, like do all these like coughs and like trying to distract her. But yes, okay. So now in this last round, you will actually get the opportunity, the both of you, to roll just a flat 20-sided die to see who goes first and who goes second. So
Alrighty.
just give me a flat 20, and she'll do the same.
Now one.
Well.
Well, get out of the way. Get out of the way.
This is all me. Yeah, no. So Galia is going to go first, which maybe not that bad a thing. I mean, it gives you something theoretically to shoot for, I guess. And so she steps up. First is her perception.
Miss.
Her perception, she seems to be having trouble sighting on the target a little bit. And so she gets ready and does not hit the target. Slides off to the right. And the target is in the same spot as where it was before. So you've got, again, a 21 for perception and then a 21 for the roll. So just like it was last time.
Okay. Oh, 21 perception. Come on. Where are these good rolls? 26 on a perception.
So you can
Advantage.
see like exactly how the wind, like everything clears for you. Your mind clears. Yeah. Everything's very slow-mo. It's basically like Shadow of Mordor, like...
Yeah. Got fucking bullet time. All right. Boom, boom. This is for the win. Oh, no.
Not quite.
16.
Does not quite get there. So it goes
I hate
back up to the top
myself.
of the round again. So again, she steps up, misses her perception, also misses her roll again. Again, it is off to the right. The wind is really whipping now. So you again, perception.
Okay, perception check. Perception check is just...
just a miss. These are some good rolls, too. All right, you got to make that hit.
Nope.
Nope.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Nope. All right, so she steps up, misses the perception, but on her roll, dead center of the target, she rolls a nat 20. So she critical hits the middle of the target. So it's up to you, Robar. You got to tie her. He can see
Say
tomorrow.
it
We don't
ain't
have
I need
stats.
fire, please.
Yeah, does anyone
Now
want to
is the
inspire
time.
him for his perception? You can inspire.
Oh my
You can
God.
inspire Robar's perception if you wish. What's going on, Ardenel? By the way,
Give us a Robin Hood / Merida moment.
Oh my God.
I forgot. I should have quoted
Christ.
Merida before. Yeah, that's another good one.
Damn.
Waits.
Can you even do a Scotch?
Well, here's the thing. I have to get a nat 20 as well after I see it.
No, as long not necessarily. If you hit
Okay.
the target, then it'll be a tie.
Okay, okay.
So yeah.
Okay, this is important, chat. This is a big moment for us.
Looks like chat is still wanting to see you do. Also, chat is probably also
Let
being
me see.
tactical because they're like, listen, I know you want to win, but like if an orc is going to kill you, you'd rather have it then. But you're like, no,
They
this
just
is
wanna
more
see me
important.
Wait,
All right, let's
can
get that
River do her bardic inspiration thing?
They can not. It would be considered cheating to do that. She can't do it on this competition. She could try
Fair
to
enough.
pretend that she wasn't doing that, I guess, but that might be a little non-riverish to cheat that way. Yeah, you used your one inspiration. Oh, you know what? I wasn't sure about that, Eridanel, so because I think I put you in as so I have to remove you again. Inspiration. Because you were the one that I wasn't sure about whether you had whether I'd used it or not. So that is now removed. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sarah. No, I wasn't sure. Okay, so now it is your turn, Robar. So perception first. You will have to do this on your own, it looks like.
Alrighty. 21 on
Wow.
perception.
And again, so
I
you
need that.
again the Matrix. You are there.
Come on.
Now, can you get the 21 in the attack with the advantage?
You are the bow.
Stay no higher under
You are
that.
the arrow.
Yay! Straight down the middle. So your shot, because it is a because it's a critical hit, goes right down the middle and splits it in two. And Galia just bows her head, just kind of like bows her head and steps away. And she lays her bow at her feet and turns and folds her arms. And there's a great shout goes up from the crowd, and this cheering and this, this. Just,
Inga runs up to Robar and like lifts him up at the legs.
Victory!
Yes, and so first of all, I want to mention. Okay, he sounds good, Shadowed. You were busy in a dungeon, you couldn't inspire nonstop. I've heard that before. No. Bannock. Did I say Bannock? I believe it's Bannock. Bannock himself comes up and shakes your hand and says, and holds your hand high, boxer style, and says, "Robar Staunton, hero of the Dunedain." And everyone's like, "Rrr," and he's like, and he lowers his hand and he says, "You and the other winners of the contest will receive a purse of silver from me personally today. What skill, what daring, and what grace." And he does a little bow. Robar, your win at this means that you have an inspiration in the bank. So you've got an inspiration that you can use for later, including theoretically another contest if you wanted.
That's true.
So you won. Nice work. So you are successful. Okay. The next competition is horse riding is up next. And so for horse riding, we have got the river, I believe, and we've got Inga as well. So this is going to be... I'm sorry, say again? What?
Inga doesn't participate because, like, she
just pony riding.
Her pony as like a big pony.
Is there a pony riding competition for the children?
So it was just the river then. You're really quiet, Terry. That's why I couldn't hear you. What's up, Marinda? Good to see you.
I'll be right back.
Okay, that's good. So it was just the river who was in horse riding?
Assist?
Yes, that's much better. So it's just the river that's in this then,
Yes.
Inga? Okay. All right, so Tani, you're up, or I should say Trendane rather. You are up rolling for the river. So the way this works is there are a set of straw targets that are set on this field. And the contestants must ride by this set of targets at high speed and either thrust or hurl a spear into the targets as they pass. In this case, the check that you're going to do to try to get advantage on the actual, using of the spear is going to be animal handling. So animal handling is basically, can you control the horse well enough that you can set yourself up nicely for the spear attack, and then the spear attack itself will be done with either I'm looking at the wrong thing. Will be done with a melee attack roll. So instead of using perception and ranged attack, it'll be animal handling and melee attack. And as you look, there are not quite as many contestants for this that are in these rounds, but there are a few. In addition to the river, you can see that there is what looks like a human, hard to say, perhaps a woodsman, wearing a sort of simple leather tunic and on a sort of large black stallion. And then there is, in addition to that, what looks like a halfling, basically a hobbit, on the back of this pony, not that much bigger than Lilimon, actually. And so is there as well, and seems, ready for action. And then the other one that you're competing against looks to be Elstan himself. This, remember, is Bard's bodyguard, who has his helmet is taken off for this. So you can see that he has sort of wispy gray hair. He is gray-eyed, gray-haired. He looks like he has a lot of years on him, and yet still seems very strong of foot, and gets into the saddle of his brown mare with ease and sort of grace. And so again, I will need the river to roll a 20-sided die so we can see who goes first, second, third, etc. True, Erdenel, true. It was much better because no one inspired, see?
$11.
Okay. We're going to have a roll-off in just a second because I already got someone else who had an 11, but I will tell you in a moment. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll have to roll again because I also got an 11 for one of mine, so.
11.
11. This time he rolled not as well as that. So, oh wait, no, you're tied with. No, that's right. That's right. I take that back. Okay, so that means that you go for. All right, so the one who was first to go is actually going to be the Hobbit, and so he lines up and he talks sort of reassuringly to his pony, kind of murmurs some words into his ear, and then he sets off along the way, heading towards the first thing. His pony seems game for the challenge, but doesn't seem to be quite on a straight line. Like, as you're watching, you're kind of like, he seems to be wavering a little bit. And nonetheless...
Partly fermented apples we fed him last night.
Yeah, that's exactly. It was all part of the plan. And so the spear does actually hit the target. Not that close to the center of the target, but it does hit the target. And he sort of pumps his fist as he rolls away, and the crowd cheers. And now the river is next to go. So first the river is going to make a animal handling check, if she has such a thing. I think she does.
She's not proficient at it, but she has it.
Hey, Barbarian of Neverwinter. I'm glad you love Middle-earth, and I'm glad you're enjoying this. There's a lot more where this comes from. 9. Yeah, unfortunately, her horse that she is not familiar with does not seem to be that into the whole process. It seems a little nervous. But she gamely picks up her spear and sets off towards the target. And here I will need you to make another roll, and you're going to be trying for DC 15 on this one as well. As you head towards it. It's a melee attack roll. So in this case, you're using like her normal axe attacks stuff like that she would normally do, if you follow what I mean.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just put a spear into her inventory, but yeah, I'll use the hand axe.
Yeah. 21 is a hit right in the center of the target. No problems. There's this thunk as the spear hits the center of the straw target. And again, a big cheer goes up, and the Hobbit sort of nods to her as she gallops away. Next to go is this human in the leather tunic. He whispers some, again, encouraging words in the ear of his horse. Horse still doesn't seem to be too into it, but nonetheless, he also hits the target, although not by much. If you were just judging on first round, he looks to be the weakest so far. But he did hit it, so he is on to the next round. And last to go is Elston. And Elston sort of gallops up with his horse. And you notice that he's the first one who doesn't actually say anything to his horse. But as he closes in on the target, the horse almost seems to move smoothly, and you can't even see whether he maybe jerked the reins slightly or what, but he doesn't say anything, but the horse just responds to something, and dead center of the target, no problem at all. So all 4 of you make it into the second qualification round. And so this time, as the horses move back to their starting place, the stewards come out, and they place the targets closer together. So basically what it means is that you're not going to have as much room to set up for a run against one of these targets. And so your DC mechanically is going to go up here. It's going to go up to a 20. So first of all, the Hobbit begins. Again, does not whisper successfully to the horse and to his pony, and as he charges in, the pony sort of rears up, seeing all these targets right next to each other, and he misses wildly, and sort of hangs his head as his pony heads off in the other direction, and that leaves an opening, perhaps, for the river, who is up next. So again, we start with animal handling.
9 again.
Like, very consistent again. not quite hooking up with the horse quite yet. All right, let's see whether she can get this attack on the straw target as she gallops in.
24.
And does, again, wha-bam, right into the center of the target. And again, a cheer goes up from the crowd. Now it is the human's turn. The human is unsuccessful as well, not able to either convince the horse to do what he wants it to do, nor is he able to get it to actually hit the target. And so he is also out of the mix. And that just leaves Elstan. Let us see if Elstan is able to stay in the competition. And Elstan does indeed just stay in the competition, just off the side of the target, like right on the edge of the target, but does successfully make it in. And so a cheer goes up, and the final round is now prepared. Slightly higher than the last one, just kind of like the way the archery went. As the targets are now placed, and what they do is they take away all of the other targets that were there, and they lower the target that remains. So it's now harder to hit because it's below actually where they were aiming before. And so the DC is going to go up to 21 for this. So now the two of you, River and Elstan, will get to roll in this final round. And you'll get to roll just a flat 20 to see who goes first and who goes second in this round. Oh, it was floating on that net. Maybe that's karma, though. Maybe that's karma. So Elstan is going to get to go first. So Elstan gets ready, positions himself carefully, talks to his horse. Horse seems a little to shy away. Seems a little nervous, maybe at this last one. And then he charges in and almost stumbles over the target. His horse rears at the last second, and he does not hit the target. And he sort of, his face has kind of an angry, set expression as he pulls his horse away. And so it is the River's turn.
She's going to take a minute to sing something very soothing, but kind of a pep rally kind of song.
Okay, a soothing pep rally. I'm here for
it. Sort of a you can trust me, we can do this. Sort of relax and work with me, and we are going to completely annihilate this target.
Nice. I dig it. All right. Then I will allow her to make this animal handling roll at +2. So still trying to get to that 21 for the DC, but yeah, forget this useless horse. I'll solo the competition.
7.
So wait, was that counting?
Oh wait, no, sorry.
+2 means
+2 means it's a 9.
Again, it's a 9.
Again.
The horse is like, no, still, I'm not down with it.
Listen, lady, I don't know you.
I swear to God. All right. Well, here we go. Roll time. Needs a 21 on the target.
Okay. So she rides up and she paints a 22. No.
Yes, exactly.
22 on the target.
Right into the center of the target. And again, a huge cheer goes up and everyone's high-fiving each other. Not really, they wouldn't do that. But they are clapping hands and hugging each other. You may hear the faint whisper. Betting is supposed to be illegal on this, but you may hear a few people sort of cursing as telltale scripts of paper are being ripped up, if you know what I mean. And again, Bannock comes up and claps the River on the back and says, I can see why this party of adventurers comes as well recommended as they do. I think there will be no prizes left for the rest of us. Congratulations. What grace and skill in riding. And he again says, you will receive a purse of silver from me as well, River. And mechanically, this means the River also has an inspiration now available to her for having won that competition. And so 2 for 2. Very nice work, everybody. And that leads us to the strength competition. Since no one is participating in this, I will simply say that these are wrestling contests. It's in a fighting ring of sand by the riverbank. And so the people who are against each other basically demoralize the opposition. So they talk about the size of the opposition, the size of other things involving the opposition, basically do everything they can to demean them in the eyes of the crowd, and then sort of, go after each other. And the goal is to, of course, take the person out of the ring like you would do in a sumo wrestling type of environment, right? And in the final round, the battle is between a strapping young dwarf from the mountain and Gerald himself, the Bjorning that you saw last night at the Masquerade Ball. And so you were all watching as they kind of work around each other carefully. The dwarf kinds of... And I mean, Gerald has got to be 2 feet taller than the dwarf and has got to outweigh the dwarf. But the dwarf has a lower center of gravity. And so, the dwarf is trying to go underneath and so forth. And finally, Gerald reaches out and almost like he's picking up a sack of meal, lifts his foe by the beard, which is not very cricket, as everybody would agree with, not what you're supposed to do, and tosses him into the river and out of the ring. And this great cheer goes up.
When you say the river.
Yes, not you're the river. And kills her instantly. And, no, the actual river. And a great cheer goes up, although there's a lot of muttering and yelling from the dwarves who feel like this was not fair and, kind of basically mutter about this. But the stewards ultimately approve of this thing, and so Gerald kind of, pumps his fist and kind of pumps up the crowd, evil villain of pro wrestling style, as he kind of walks around. And again, Bannock congratulates him and says he will receive a purse of silver, and says, "Now the time has come for the grand melee itself. The river non-capitalized. The grand melee, the final event of this afternoon. Prepare yourselves." Now, the way that this event works, and this by far draws the most attention of any of the competitions, is the grand melee. It's a big mock battle. So theoretically, this is every person for themselves. But in practice, different factions stick together. So the largest force on the field are the Warriors of Dale, and Elstan is leading them. So Elstan, who still looks like he's smarting from his loss at the horse riding competition, is leading them. Right after that, the second largest force, Inga, is the Dwarves of the Lonely Mountain, being led by a dwarf whom you don't recognize, but it is not King Dane, although King Dane is watching from the sidelines, no pressure though, just watching to sort of see. And then last is the Warriors of Laketown. And the Warriors of Laketown seem to be led by someone else who, again, you think you might have seen at the ball, but you don't totally recognize. The elves do not enter the melee at all. So the early rounds are basically designed for you to fight against a host of lesser foes. And because there's a whole bunch of foes, we don't do this on a one-by-one basis. We do basically 2 checks. So what I need to have first from Robar and from Inga, and is the river participating in this or not? She is or is not? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Maybe not then? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me, but basically, no, you know what? She could. There's no reason she couldn't. So Robar, Inga, and
is a
River.
fighty bard. I think she might.
That's fair. And so Tani, Tren, you will again be handling the river for this. So the way this works is each player is going to describe for me how your character is going to approach the melee. Are you going to sneak around and wait for opportunities to take down weak or distracted foes? Are you going to charge into the middle of the fray, like scattering your opponents with forceful blows? Are you going to work with the rest of the adventurers? Are you going to make common cause with participants from your culture? Inga, are we going to get like a Dwarves of the Iron Mountain to my banner? One of these deals. Are you going to do how are you sort of going to handle that? And I want to point out that if you have a virtue or a class ability that matches this tactic, then I will take that into account. So basically think about your character and what their abilities are, and think about whether one of those things that I've described sort of fits what you would do. And let me know if what I just said makes sense. So take a look at your character first, and then decide which would be what's the method that they're going to use to approach this battle. Everyone's like,
Wait,
really?
so are we battling each other or?
No, you're battling against. The reason that we're not doing a one-on-one thing is because there are lots of fighters on the field.
Yeah.
So it's basically you, and the idea is whoever is essentially able to, in quotes, survive, like stay upright.
Oh,
it's not going to be lethal because there's people there waiting to heal you and all that. But the point is, how many of you can stay upright during the battle? And so, kind of like a battle royale, except there are very clearly groups of people who will try to stick together. And
how big are these groups?
So the battle with the Warriors of Dale, there's probably a good 40 of those. There's at least 30 dwarves. There are a good 20-25. So I mean, there's probably almost 100 people in this battle.
To Robar, River, and Inga just being a 3-man team.
I think that's possible. I think you could maybe do that, yes, because you might be able to work a way that you could work together to try to survive. I think that's possible. You may do that, or you may choose to be like, I love you guys in every other context, but I'm here with my people. I mean, that's up to you as to how you want to handle it.
No, Inga would stick with her friends.
Okay.
I think.
So, stick with your friends. How are you going to handle things then? And if you as a group of 3 want to talk about how you want to handle it collectively, you can also do that. That's cool with me too.
This is only melee weapons, right? No archery.
Yes, melee weapons. There you go. Exactly, Ardnell. It's like a LARP, yeah. Foam swords,
boy.
you know.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Thanks for bringing back those memories. Wait, I need my foam weapons. Where's my axe?
I'm looking forward to this so much.
Oh.
I'm going to have some chips and hummus while I wait for you to tell me.
Robar, say something. Oh, you are
you're
muted.
muted.
Let's all fight some of them. What does Inga need from Rubo?
Like, do you have any ideas for tactics?
Stick together. I'll shoot them. You cover me.
No shooting.
Can't shoot.
Only
Oh,
melee.
Melee.
okay. I'll throw my sword at them.
Anything that allows me to do ranged.
You know what? Like Robot would say, the field is packed. Let's try and stay out of the way of some of the fighting. Let them wear each other down, and then three of us will come in stronger. Because we're not the biggest team here.
So, like, basically stick to the side and then...
Yeah. Let them fight each other for a bit. When they're a bit weaker, we can go in for a kill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're kind of a small team, eh?
Yeah.
We're also accustomed to fighting together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Oh.
agree with that. And because you're all accustomed to fighting together and you're doing it this way, I'm going to give you advantage on this check. So this first check is going to basically be deciding how to avoid the worst of the scrum, basically. So there's a bunch of people that are just going to, like, as the fight begins, a bunch of people are just like, you know, and there's this, like, clashing of...
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not clashing of metal, it's just the sound of wood on wood, because, again, this is all supposed to be non-lethal, but it's pretty loud and pretty chaotic. And so I'm going to give you advantage on this check. But what you're going to be doing here, this is going to sound a little odd, so stay with me. You're going to make a check to see how well you're able to avoid it so that you can then get to the point where you could survive the first part of the melee. So essentially you're doing two checks. The first is to see, can you keep from being surrounded, basically? Can you keep from being picked off individually? And then the second check will be to see whether or not you do survive, having done all of that. And so if you succeed on that first check, you will get advantage on the second check. And you've already got advantage on the first check. So you've got advantage on the first check, and then we'll have, if you succeed on that first one, we'll have advantage on the second. Clear? Also, you can hold onto, for Robar and the River, both of you have inspirations. So theoretically, you could hold on to those inspirations and use them for the second check if your first check doesn't work. So I'm just letting you know that's possible if you want to do it.
Okay.
So
I think we would also stand back to back, so we form
triangle, essentially.
so that we always have somebody
Just to
beside
do-
us
I dig it.
to help cover us, and it's harder to flank us then.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to let each person roll first based on the statistic they want. So it sounds like you guys are going to be using... that strikes me as probably... I think that's going to be dexterity more than strength, because you're not really charging forward yet. You may do a strength check later, but you're going to be at dexterity as you guys are doing this here. That may not work perfectly for your individual characters, but I think it's the way that we get things together as a group. So I'm going to ask you to make, not a saving throw, it is a saving throw, I beg your pardon, dexterity saving throw, and you're going to do it at advantage. So each of you have to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oi.
Yeah,
Wow,
that
so you
advantage.
all make it. Inga doesn't make it by a lot. Inga's manages sort of like kind of stumbles forward a little bit, but manages to get pulled back by her companion. So you all succeed, which means now you can stride forward and actually make your attack. So now we're going to get a chance to see how things work. So again, now you're going to be making an attack roll. Now this is not a DC. This is going to be to hit AC 15. And your missing the roll doesn't mean that you're out. It depends on how much you miss by. So you want to do as well as you possibly can in this roll. And again, all of you have advantage on it. So I will start with whatever order everybody wants to do. This is a melee attack roll, though, not a dexterity. This is, however you do melee. So the River does melee using her axes, and that's fine. But everybody else has got melee.
Okay.
Do we get our double attack? Oh, boo.
Don't need
Yeah,
it.
just like a...
Don't need it. It's just a single attack. Because you can't get double advantage, basically. Inga.
13.
Okay.
17.
Okay.
rolls are not great today.
Yeah.
And 19. Okay. So, here is what happens. We will start. We will start with Inga. So, Inga, as you sort of strike back, and are kind of like rearing around with the combat, you see a couple of people come running directly at you, and you can see that one of them is Gerald, the Bjorning himself. And as he runs towards you, you have this kind of vision in your head of what Tani described about the way that he fought for just a moment. And then Gerald basically grabs you, like you swing at him. He basically just ignores the weapon. You swing at him, he grabs you, and basically bears you into the earth, like just like with his full weight. You survive, but you lose half of your hit points. Again, this is not permanent, but you're going to lose half of your hit points with that attack.
Oh, so I have like 20 permanent hit points, temporary hit points.
Right. Yeah. So you have your normal set of hit points, but imagine them as being a temporary pool in this case. And so you're half of those. Robar, you also succeed against it, but you are confronted by several people, including one of the people that you defeated in the horse riding competition. You are struck kind of in the side and sort of stagger back. So you also survive, but you lose a quarter of your hit points. So you will lose again, temporary. So you lose a quarter of your hit points in this. And then the river, let's see, is going to survive. And River, as you are sort of battling back and forth, one of the creatures, and I think it's actually the dwarf that was maybe in the axe throwing competition, manages to bang into your side, and so does end up taking off 5 hit points, again temporary, from your total. So you all make it through, but with various positions of harm. So. And that leads us to the second round. You notice that there are a lot of people kind of lying on the battlefield groaning. There are people in cloaks, basically healers running everywhere, like tending to people, giving them poultices, dragging them off the field. It's all good fun, really, as everyone sort of stands up.
Very differing ideas of fun.
Mm-hmm. For the, exactly. Well, listen, for the second round of combat. Now, in the second round, you have a much, much depleted group of people that you're facing. So now probably it's at least half, if not a third, of the people that were there to begin with. So maybe there's only like 30 people on the battlefield now, but these are the survivors. So these are very hardened looking people, a lot of them. And of course, some of them, like for example, Inga, your friend Gerald, are there kind of grinning at you sort of nastily, and several others around there. So they're all kind of, they're looking ready. So you have a minute or two to prepare. You can't heal yourselves, but you have a minute or two to prepare as to how you want to handle this tactically, if you want to do anything different or not. Yeah, the final competition is who gets to heal the best. Who actually survives. But anyway, so you can talk about tactics if you wish.
What do we think?
And the river basically says, I think if he goes for Inga again, we just rotate the group so that she's on the opposite side from him, so he can't get to her without going through us.
Agreed.
Hey, I can take it.
If you
It's
want.
like Inga's like covered in dust and
There's a chest of gold on the line here. Let's think tactically. It's just that he's got the arm length on you and the height.
that's height.
It's realistic. Rotate.
Fine. How about actually, what if he comes running for me again, then I throw myself on the ground hoping that he trips over me?
Oh my god, you just described the greatest combat move of all time, which is the end of the Last of the Mohicans movie. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but at the end of the Last of the
Long
Mohicans,
time ago.
Do you remember the old the Native American, the father? So I'm gonna have to spoil this for you. Sorry. His son is killed, and so his father goes after the bad guy. The guy swings a tomahawk over his head, He rolls underneath the tomahawk, comes up from behind and tomahawks him in the back, and then pushes him off the cliff. It's the greatest move of all. I remember being in the theater and just everyone being like, "Oh God!" because the older guy is at this point, I think, in his late 50s or 60s, and he just is like totally cool about it too, and just like, oh man.
Okay, I want to do that.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're doing that.
I will find you. Exactly. Hey, wait a minute. Is this now? Hold on now. T-Bank, do I know you? Did we? I want to make sure before I say. I may be wrong. Maybe this is. Maybe I'm thinking of another T-Bank because I did a.
There are
thing
so
at,
many.
Yes, that's true. Maybe it's
They
the
are
T
legion.
Monster that I'm thinking about. There was a T Monster that I did a panel at Gen Con about Twitch, who actually wrote the book Twitch for Dummies. I didn't know. Not USA. Okay, all right. So it wasn't you.
I'm
well,
assuming
welcome anyway.
German given on the spelling of T.
Yes.
T-Bank.
So T-Bank, not USA. Okay.
Or Austrian.
Anyway, that whole last 20 minutes of that movie, by the way, with the music is unbelievably good. With the music behind it, oh man, so good. Anyway, all right, so you're gonna do something awesome when that happens.
Yes.
sounds
Also,
like fun.
I think I have an ability that might play into that.
Okay, what's that?
I have an ability that when an enemy ends their turn within 5 feet of me, then I can get to move half of my speed without provoking an attack of opportunity. Can I use that?
Yes,
Anyway?
I'll
Yeah.
buy that for sure.
Okay.
So I will give you an advantage on that check. Now, I'm not going to be able to give everyone an advantage on this check the way I did last time, unless you have something in your individual situations that will affect that. So in other words, what Inga just did works, so she gets advantage. Does the River or Robar, do either of you have something that will fit the way that you're going to approach this second round of the combat?
Can River use her bardic inspiration here?
I don't think so because she doesn't have. Well, she could try to sing, I guess. She doesn't have access to an instrument, is the thing. Because they're not allowed to.
Warden's gift. You can inspire others through stirring words, through music, or by your presence alone. You can gift 1d8 to person of your choice.
Okay, so I will allow that, and what I'll say is if you're going to use the Warden's gift, then both the other two of you can get inspiration also. So I'll allow that, but you have to use the Warden's gift, that means. So you have to use that die.
She'll do it.
Okay, so that's fine. So then, Robar, you don't have to worry. You will
Okay.
get inspiration regardless. So all three of you, again, have inspiration on this first check. This check, again, will be the same thing, except this time you've got a difficulty check of 20 that you have to beat instead of 15. Because there are fewer and they're sort of badasses at this point. So
Dexterity save, right?
Dex saves.
this is going to be a dex save, correct, against... actually, you know what? For this one, I will let you choose whether you want it to be strength or dexterity. I'll let you choose in this case. Now,
it'll
be
be
careful, though,
dex.
Inga. If
Strength is better.
doing what you're describing, Inga, to me, that's not strength, though. If you're going to do that awesome dodge underneath, that's dex.
God damn it. Okay. Fine.
So dex for you, Robar, dex for you.
23.
Awesome. River?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, look at you guys.
Hey.
You're all like,
Go on.
wham,
Go
bam.
chest.
Okay, that means you all have advantage on this attack, which is good because the attack is being made against AC 20. So you will need to make this attack, but you get advantage on it. The dice are loaded today. I know, these guys have been working real well
Not
together.
20. Again, that's not my fourth
Wow.
of the day. Holy shit. I'm crushing it.
Oh, the river.
Hey, I make up for it. Robot makes up for it.
Let's see. Did everyone go? Or just, did I see?
Yeah, that's
okay,
all of us.
25 and 22.
25,
Okay.
22, and 14.
So, Robar, both you and Inga succeed very, very well. Actually, Robar, in your case, you are uninjured completely. You're just like, you're just like a man possessed as you move around the battlefield. Inga, you are also fighting exceedingly well. You do get hit for 5 hit points of damage. It's not as bad, obviously, as last round. You're feeling pretty good, all things concerned. The River, however, is not so lucky. As she is continuing to strike, Gerald himself comes out of the sort of fog of combat, roars, charges. Inga, you do your awesome, dodge thing and everything to avoid him hitting you, but he ends up shouldering himself directly into the river, who hits the ground and is knocked unconscious. So she is eliminated from the battle. She's fine. The healers go over to attend to her, but she is unfortunately eliminated. And so as we go into the final battle, the final round, there are a few warriors remaining standing on the muddy field by the river, and it is the river, and it is Robar. It is Gerald the Wild Mercenary, who has maimed one foe and smashed the dwarf forged shield of another. This guy is a madman. And atop a little hillock in the middle of the field are a company of dwarves from the Lonely Mountain. They have fighted with the tenacity of Durin's folk, but they are clearly exhausted. And finally, Elstan and a troop of his best warriors command the ground near the river and have won the love of the crowd with their heroics. And so now you have a choice to make. You can fight against Gerald, the badass. You can fight against Elstan and his followers. The dwarves are probably too far from you at the moment, so it's going to be either Gerald or Elstan, basically, and then you're.
I'm hoping the dwarves are the ones that we spoke to in that pub, and they were telling us all those stories about themselves, about how great they are.
You better believe it. So you've got Gerald or Elstan. Remember, Elstan is the bodyguard of Bard, who is impressive horse riding dude. So, and Gerald, who is he's basically Tawny, but angry. He's basically Tawny apparently 5 years ago.
I don't think he's trying to take a bite out of anybody.
No, that's true. But he's fighting like a man possessed.
Maybe Elstan, because there's more glory in it.
Okay.
Because Bard would notice if we got his bodyguard.
It's up to you. And actually, I know that she just left, but when she gets back, we will ask her.
Yeah, well, let's.
Okay, so Terry, just wanted to bring you up to speed. So in this final round, you have so you and Robar have made it through with a few others. Gerald is there. He has got, as I said, he's maimed one foe. He's smashed the dwarf forged shield of another. Atop a little hillock in the middle of the field are a company of dwarves from the Lonely Mountain who have fought with the tenacity of Durin's folk, but they're clearly exhausted. And finally, Elstan and a troop of his best warriors, and that's basically, Elstan and troop in this case is two, so there's basically two of them, are commanding the ground near the river and have won the love of the crowd with their heroics. So you have a choice to make. You can either fight against Gerald, just by himself, or you can fight against Elstan and his two followers. The dwarves are too far away, and mechanically, whoever you don't fight is going to fight the dwarves.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's up to you as to how you want
well,
to.
In that case...
fighting Gerald, so...
Yeah, I was going to say Elstan for more glory, but it sounds like those dwarfs might be able to take him out, or at least really weaken him for us. And Gerald's one guy. So between me and Inga, we should have a flanking. I mean, obviously not any actual rules, but we should be able to maneuver ourselves to outflank and get an advantage on him.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, we are going to do a little thing that I like to call rolling initiative. Let me get the music going on this one.
Oh.
Don't forget to select your tokens before doing
Yep,
that.
and the turn order's up this time. And let's do it.
And you know what old Tawny would do in a case like this? He would grab Inga and beat Robar to death with her.
Oh, don't give my ears.
Thank you, Tawny. Damn it.
It's a 4 on the initiative, but it shouldn't matter too much.
All right. Okay, let's see. Now let me pull the river out of this so I don't...
Inga, I'm gonna really need you to hit this man.
I need you to hit this man hard.
Am I gonna get... Wait, is this like a regular battle
This is a
now,
regular
or-
combat, yes.
Wow.
Back into regular.
But remember, you're coming in with your half... whatever I told you was your hit point total,
I have 50.
that's what you're dealing with. And actually, let me double check on that.
Oh, cool.
Robar, what are your hit points at? Temporary?
25 now. I was at 36, and then I did math for a quarter of that, which was...
25 out of 36 temp hit points, okay?
Yeah.
Also, you have one shadow point, right?
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, and Robar has got the big old 4. dual wield adventurers against Bard's bodyguard. That's awesome. Each get 2 attacks. Yeah, that would be terrifying. Suddenly this is Voltron, is what we're talking about here.
Oh, the turn order vanished.
Mine did not. But I will put them. I'm going to erase all of them because it was doing that thing. There we go. Do that. All right, let's try this again. So now we can you do me a favor and add yourselves to the turns again? Now that we have that.
How do I do that?
Just roll initiative again and change the number manually.
Or I can just do it that way. Either way, that's fine. I'll do it.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah.
All right. So we got Robar with a 4, right?
Yep.
And Una with a 16. All right. Let me know if the combat music is too loud, folks. I like this music.
You can just manually change it.
You folks can, but oh God, I hit the wrong number. This is why. This is the only problem with browser. If I hit the wrong button, I end up going to the generic Radio Workshop audio script that I used for Sherlock Holmes many moons ago. Sorry about that. That was really weird. I apologize unreservedly. Let's try that again. Let's drop the music volume a little bit. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so let's see. So we've got 16 and 4, and our friend Gerald is going to get... Oh, and I, of course, right on cue, get a disconnect. That is unfortunate. So stay with me. Well, shoot. Bear with me, people. Whoa, sorry about that. Internet had a big hiccup.
A hiccup?
Yeah.
Really?
All my internet went down.
Oh no.
So now I've reconnected with OBS. Sorry about that, everybody.
And since you are now in a different position on the thing, all the cameras are.
I fixed it.
Oh, yay.
Okay, I just had to move these things around. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. At first I thought it was the OBS connecting, and then I looked up and my entire internet everywhere was down for a second. So sorry about that. Apologies.
What that's like.
It's okay. While you were gone, they won the combat.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, while I was gone, 5 more of Gerald's friends showed up. So
no, we were here. You were gone. We know what happened.
Yeah, sorry, man.
3 against 1.
You must have DC'd for it.
Here's the funny thing about that 3 versus 1. Only one of us actually matters in terms of what happened in the game at that moment.
But you weren't here, so.
You weren't in the game, man.
Power.
Oh, tyranny! He is drunk with power. Okay. All right. So, no, that was not the case that he was joined by a bunch of friends. He did roll reasonably well, though, on his initiative roll. So.
Who? Yeah. Real good.
Okay. So, chat, everyone should be, can everyone see me now again? I hope. Everyone should be back.
One stream is back on board.
Yeah.
Oh.
Me too.
Okay.
Me free.
All right. Yes, stream is back. Okay, cool. Thank you, Esther.
Oh,
Sorry, everyone.
It's funny that you say that, Will, because like I remember way back in English class, like 5th form, 6th grade or something. Like, it was like, hey kids, never do that thing. Nobody from England would actually ever say that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about the English: we don't know how to speak our own fucking language most of the time.
So I was told.
Oh my god. All right, here we go. So let us get underway. So Gerald is going to begin. And he is going to, let's see, run up against, let's see, who's the person he's going to face first? Trying to decide if he's going to be, oh, I'm sorry, I was going to double check on temporary hit points for Inga. How many hit points do you have right now? 15? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
More than enough.
Yeah. Enough.
Well enough to take you down.
So he comes up with his great axe, and again, his axe is made of wood, but still, and he comes down upon you, Ingo, with 3 attacks. Attack, attack, attack. First one is 23. Second one is a 12, and the third one is a 21.
Oh my god.
Hit, I think.
Ingo, I'm so
That's
sorry.
the second one.
The second one didn't hit, right? A 12?
12?
No, yeah, no. Like I said, 2 of them hit.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
I thought you said all
I
of
thought
them.
you said all of them hit. Yeah.
No, 2 of them hit.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Just had to like check my notes again because the character sheet like always resets my armor class.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Tells me what I like without my armor on. Which, you know.
He is going to do, between those, he is going to do 14 points of damage to you. So you're at 1 out of 40.
Left.
So he kind of staggers you, and he seems disappointed that he didn't drop you. And kind of looks at you and leers. And then he bellows, Come on! And sort of like shakes his axe at all of you. And Inga, it is your turn. You've just been staggered by this dude.
And you get your multi-attacks back, so kick his ass.
I'm gonna just like checking if I have any like other skills that might be useful here.
Well, you already specified that the 2 of you are going to do your best to flank him. So
Yeah, can we do that?
Yes.
Because I can
So
like.
long
okay,
as you're
then what
as
I'm
you're
gonna
alive.
do is that I'm gonna move behind him because I'm
Yep.
not gonna provoke an attack of opportunity.
You get as long as you're alive, you can do that. Now,
Yeah, and that's like not in my round. That's still in his round, by the way, according to rules. Like that's a reaction.
what is a react? Oh, moving around.
This
You mean?
ability I'm using.
Yes,
like,
that's right,
whenever-
okay, yep.
yeah.
So
Okay,
that means
in
that I
his
would say
round-
you're in probably flanking position, so you can get advantage on him if you want.
Yes, that's what we're gonna do. Like surround him.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna murderize him.
Murderize him.
Oh, good. Advantage,
19?
Right.
Yeah.
That will hit.
If you're
There it
flanked,
is.
all of your attacks have advantage when
Yeah,
you're flanked.
that'll hit.
right? Oh, the second one doesn't, right?
No, does not.
9 damage?
9 damage. Okay. Now you notice as that hits him, that so you sort of, again, your axe had been specially bound so as to prevent lethal damage, but obviously it does, bruising damage and it hurts a lot. But you notice that he doesn't seem to be that fazed by it. Like, he does take some damage, but he just kind of is like, ha! He kind of chuckles and kind of, looks at the arm where you hit him and kind of brushes it off like he was brushing across a side of fly. Then so you're going to stay in that same flanking position, I assume, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Robar, you're up.
Okay, would you describe this man as an evil man, or is he just a
No.
good guy?
I would not describe him as evil. He's
Oh, that
he's just
sucks.
very, very bad in combat, like very
He hurt.
much angry in combat.
You
Yeah.
hurt your best friend really badly. That would qualify him as evil, I believe.
I think it's whether or not he's evil in general, not just my perception
Yes,
of him.
You seem evil to me. Bonus. No,
He's like a
he's
bad guy.
actually not
Yeah,
evil.
is he an orc perchance? Because then I would also get.
I was going to say, he
Yeah,
rips
yeah.
off his fit. No, he very much looks like a Bjorning.
Ah.
Like, not even like an underbite or anything?
No, not tusks even, like over the top, like just.
Here's a
his
question
skin
for
is
you.
not even vaguely greenish or grayish. Yes.
Rules of the competition.
Yes.
Can I heal someone
Yes.
if they go out?
Not well.
And I
You
hit
can't take
them.
now. Right. Once they go out, then they're out.
Then
you
they're
can
out for
heal
good.
someone, but you couldn't like go run and get the river. Like, hey, you know, like.
Yeah, because I was thinking like if Inga goes down, I do have my bonus action royalty revealed, which heals for 1d6 plus charisma. Right. But the thing there being, if I do that now, then the 1d6 plus charisma isn't a lot, and I feel like he might take you down again with the next attack.
It's a good question. This is why those early rounds are. That's why how they set up for the early rounds to be important also. So
he does get frightened. We'll just hit him twice. Let's hit him twice.
Okay.
We're good at hitting
Made
people.
the right decision here.
Well, it's a bonus action, so I can check myself after I take this action to attack him twice. Okay.
Advantage.
21.
Yep. Hit.
And second attack is a 15.
Will just hit.
Okay, so that's 8 damage and 6 damage, 14 points.
All right, so again, a strong hit, and you notice that again, he takes damage, but it does not seem to be hurting him as much as you would have expected. He seems to be shrugging off some of that damage for whatever reason. He kind of looks, he glares at you for a second, Robar, and then he turns back, and he says, "No dwarf will flank me for long." And then he takes his axe and brings it down like a hammer blow on your
Inga, no!
No. So that's going to be an 18, a 15, and a 22.
Yeah, I'm out.
This is what I'm talking about with my
one hit point. They all hit.
My 1d6 of healing.
Which of those hit, Inga?
Wait, tell me again.
18, 15, 22.
All but the
15.
second.
All but the second
15
one?
hits?
No, all but the second.
All but the second one.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that's gonna do 20 points of damage. So you just are like, he just brings you, you just like hit the ground heavily. Your consciousness slips from you, and Gerald turns to you, Robar, and says,
I gulp.
He turns to you and says, "You're a Dunedain, I'm told, but I'm a Bjorning. We do our fighting in the open." And he looks out like almost rabid. And it's your turn, Robar.
I sweep the legs.
Seems reasonable.
Because
his tree trunks, you mean? That
yeah, those tree trunks, yeah. I think Robar realizes that he is outmatched when it comes to strength. So he's going to try and use his own strength against them. So when he comes in for the attack, Robar's going to try and, sweep the leg and then use that momentum to slam down into the ground on this guy.
All right, so I'm going to say that that's going to be I'm going to have you make a dexterity check, not a saving throw, but a check. And we're going to see, because he is angry and overbalanced, and that may help you in this. But you got to make a dexterity check first. And it's not clear if this is half damage from Berserk or not, or if it's some resistance to maybe damage of some kind. It's hard to say. He certainly looks Berserk.
He looks Berserk. Okay,
Those magic mushrooms.
Do I have advantage on this?
No. Not on.
Ooh, maybe I should use my
somebody
inspiration.
wants to inspire.
I do have.
Oh wait, no,
I
you do
my
have your inspiration, so you could use it on that. This might be a good time.
I think this is probably. I'll forget to use it if I don't. So,
are you going to yell out like, "This is how I won the archery"? Right?
It's not about strength, it's about skill. And then Robar senses the winds again, and the winds that were in the archery competition, and puts a finger up and senses the wind direction. And rolls an 18. It's pretty good.
Yes, that actually will do it. So you do knock him prone, and he hits the ground with a thud. So you do have advantage on him now if you want to do your press your attack.
Absolutely, let's do that. Okay, let's have my attacks. 23.
Hit.
And nat 20!
Jesus. Oh, Will, these rolls tonight. My God. What is going on today? All right, so first of all, roll your damage on that first one, and then your max damage on the other one is how much?
9 damage on the first one, and 7 damage.
No, just whatever max damage would be that second one.
Would be 2d8, so 16 plus 2.
Okay, so 27 total points of damage, I believe.
Yeah.
He will still take not as much of that, but he'll take a good deal of it. When you hit him with that critical hit, though, he angrily and sweeps his axe at your legs in a retaliatory strike, which, in case you're curious, happens to be a special ability of this guy. However, he misses wildly, which is probably what happens when you're on the ground.
Ooh.
So you manage to dodge out of the way. You have now gotten his attention, and he clambers to his feet.
You didn't before?
He seems like, well, he kind of maybe wasn't taking it totally seriously. He now seems to be taking it seriously. So he brings down, he accidentally severed his head. Sorry, I non-lethally eliminated him. No. So he comes in at you a 15, a 17, and a 16.
All of which hit Robar.
Oh, no. Well, let's see how he does.
A 1 and a 1 and a 1.
He does get 2 1s. But
the other one, however,
that still amounts to 10 damage between the two of them, plus
10
the
damage.
attack. So he's going to take 22 damage total between the 3 attacks. The 3 attacks.
Oh god, yeah. 3 hit points. 3 hit points.
So now the question is, it's your turn. So what do you want to do, Robar? You've definitely damaged him. But
Oh, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you and Inga both have definitely hurt him.
And he's...
But he doesn't look like he's about to fall over anytime soon.
Oh.
is he still prone?
Well,
No, he
because
stood up
he's
on that
already
turn.
folded over. Oh, boo.
No, he doesn't. He's not going to stay. He is going to stand up in place when he does that. That was his move, and then his action was to attack.
I look over, I spot an eye over to the rest of the fight. How does how the dwarves and their bodyguard doing?
The dwarves are fading badly. It looks to you like Elstan and his people are pretty clearly going to be the winners of that fight.
Yeah, can I get through this guy and the next lot? Well, let's give it a go.
If it weren't metagaming, I would so make a suggestion right now.
But it would be, so don't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, if
Well,
only,
actually, you know what?
the river's
As
there.
as
the river,
river,
could
yeah, you could do that as the river. Although technically she's unconscious, but I would allow that if she were actually present. So you could yell something as the river. That's fine, Tony. Tren, I should
Okay,
say.
yeah, she's just kind of like with one eyelid, just kind of she's a little bit kind of, bells still ringing, as it were.
Right.
And she's basically going to say, "Go to them," and basically indicating to Robar, disengage and move to the other group. Kite him.
Okay. As the axe is about to come swinging in again, I think that's the only thing to do. Yeah, so disengage.
Okay.
Um,
So you're going to double move, basically, right? Disengage.
double,
and
yeah,
run.
basically,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine. So you do that, and you basically head towards that way. As you get there, you can see that the fight is like very much joined. There are only a couple of dwarves left, and they are giving ground on this hillock as Elstan's force moves in. You're actually you take a moment to be impressed with the fact that Elstan is being very like disciplined in how he commands his troops. Like you can tell that he's done this before, quite obviously. But as they get up, he doesn't really pay any attention to you, which is good because running after you, bellowing loudly, is Gerald with his axe sort of held like above his head. He, as he gets sort of within a couple of feet of you, literally throws himself at you. So he just throws himself at you at the end of it. We're gonna see how that works for him.
Weapon, own body.
Wait a minute. No, never mind.
He basically dives at you. He's not going to get to you, though, I don't think. His dexterity check is not a success. He doesn't critically fail it, but he basically hits the ground, and I'll say that he's on one knee. He's not exactly prone, but I would say that he probably is available for an attack this turn with advantage if you wish, but he is there on top of you. And there's now a whole bunch of like one of Elstan's men kind of looks over his shoulder and does a double take, like huh? Like as he looks around and sees you there. I'm
just picturing, oh great Elf King, my truest friend and ally, we must join our forces against this common foe.
Exactly. All right. So that was Gerald's move to actually get there. He can't attack you because you just got there. So Rabar, now it's up to you. You're probably not going to be able to disengage and move again without getting multiple attacks all over the place because you're next to the group now. But
yeah, well, he's prone and available for an attack of
for one
opportunity.
round
So
anyway,
Yeah, so, well, not an attack of opportunity, you know what I mean. An opportune strike.
Yes.
So, yeah, in that case, he's going to... he's a run over, he sees him jump and miss, and Robal will just turn around and try and, conk him one on the head.
Let's see it. I'm here for it.
We have advantage! 22?
Not with your great bow, though.
Oh, it's actually the same dice. It's a plus
Okay.
5 still. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I will. No, it's fine. It's fine. You can. I'll. Either one of those hits, so that's fine. So
22
you will
and
strike.
17.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your damage.
So I rolled some twice. 10 plus 17. Roll.
All right. So 17. Again, he's not going to take all of that, but your repeated attacks are having an effect. You're weakening him. It's just unfortunate that this guy is a monster of a man. Bjorning.
No.
So he is, as you sort of raining these blows down on his back, he's kind of kind of cracks his neck, and then gets.
Well,
up to
okay.
his
Here's
full
a question, because I got a bonus action possibly to use here.
Okay.
If Robar sees fit. This guy's about to hit him and he's about to go down. Am I within 30 feet of most of the combatants at this point?
Yes, I would say you're not actually within 30 feet of Inga now, but you are within 30 feet of the people that are here. Yes.
That's fine, because once she's out, so I can't do the healing thing. So I think now may be a time to reveal something about myself.
All right. Are you going to reveal it using your new made by Terry, therefore completely appropriate to the circumstances?
Yes, I'm going to use my Tolkien appropriate, Terry approved symbol.
Brooch.
So what's that look like? Because you're near the hillock, right? So can you describe,
Yeah, definitely. So I think... Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say it's like the Tolkien equivalent of, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses on, would you? Sorry, just go.
So I think for Robar, it's a matter of seeing everyone around him, maybe spotting the king watching on, and realizing that this is the only moment he has to really impress those in the crowd. And also he's really poor and would like that money for his people. So he takes up the brooch, pulls it off, and I think in the sunlight it seems as though to shine in an elven sort of light, an elven power. And Robar says, "Do you know who I am?" into the face of Gerald, who's getting up on the ground.
Yeah, Gerald's like, no!
No, who are you? Yeah. And Robar says, "I am Robar Staunton, King of the Vale, Rider of Eagles, and I want to win really badly."
Stop being
You were
so
on such a
mean.
roll.
being
King of the
mean.
Vale, Rider of Eagles. I'm like, yeah. Then you're like, and I want to win. And
You know who my dad is.
You're doing good. Want to win.
so you reveal
My
your
dad
royalty,
could beat your dad up.
and
Yeah.
the sort of Gerald kind of takes a step back, and everyone kind of looks around at you, because this is actually the first time you revealed royalty since you've been in Dale. So
Yeah.
a lot of the people in there is a great whisper, whispering and yelling, and people cheering, and there are people who start to cheer, "Staunton, King of the Vale!" You hear those people chanting.
Yeah.
Okay, so roll your
And I
fearing.
say, "I come here to fight for my people, and I will have satisfaction, sir." So,
He looks a little bit cowed by all that.
yeah, he should. So everybody within 10 feet must make a wisdom saving throw of DC 17.
Okay.
Or they are frightened. Be scared of me. Please.
So everyone fails, including Gerald, except for Elston. And Elston just kind of looks at you with these gray eyes and sort of nods, like he's like, "Oh," but is not like, "Oh." Everyone else is like, "Ugh," and they kind of stumble backwards. It's a combination of exhaustion and you just look very impressive when you do that, and they're just like, "Wow." And Gerald sort of is taken aback as well.
Good.
And healing, of course.
Yes, and a little bit of healing in there, which doesn't hurt. My charisma is...
Really, that's a point.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of the default state of healing, is that it doesn't hurt.
Well,
Oh, no.
Man.
that's fine. It's fine. we got a lot of people out of competition now. Okay, so anyone frightened? +2, yeah. Okay, well that's pretty much it. So, so everyone's scared of me, and I announce myself, if nothing else.
Okay.
And I heal a little bit.
Well, the benefit of him having failed is that frightened is a very, very nasty condition to put on people. The effect of frightened is that he has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while you are within line of sight, and you can't willingly move closer to the source of your fear. Now, that part of it is not going to help you as much here because he doesn't have to move away. It's just he can't move closer, and he's right next to you anyway. So he can still attack you, and he's going to do that. But
so there's one other bit of text I didn't read. So failure means they are frightened of you in 1 minute. While frightened in this way, a creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it cannot willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. It can't take reactions. For instance, it could only use a dash action to try and escape.
Then in that case, you know what? He sees that and starts to bolt away, and you can get an attack of opportunity on him.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Don't turn your back on us, Staunton. Or do. Unless I have advantage, so that it's a 9.
Yeah. So the attack,
the
attack of opportunity is not going to be an advantage in this particular case. He will have disadvantage on attacks on you if he had them. But
yeah.
All right. So okay. So you miss, and he starts to bolt away. Now you have a choice to make here, Robar. If it's a minute, it means that he is going to leave the field of battle in all likelihood and thus be disqualified before the effect is used up. So, and the last dwarf falls, and with him, one of the companions of Elston. So basically, you can go after and try to finish off Gerald, or you can be like, took care of that dude, and you're going to turn around and deal with Elston. That would be your other option.
I think that's the only option forwards with 6 HP.
Okay.
So I would jeer after Gerald, something like, "Can't take his fighting" or something,
Okay.
And then turn towards Elston, and I give him a little bow of sort of kingly respect because I'm about to be massacred by him.
Well, and he nods at you and he says, "Dunedain, it is my honor to face you. But for my honor, I must defeat you.
And must break you."
I was hoping he was going to go all Prince of Wales in, in what's it called? A Knight's Tale. But yeah, all right. Is it my action?
It is his action, actually. You've done that, and he ran away, and so Elston is going to be up first. And
good night, sweet prince.
And so he comes up, and he is wielding a long sword, not an axe, but he has his gleaming helm. So he moves in on you with these 2 longsword attacks. He's also been a little bit hurt, but not badly. He's got heavy mail and a shield on. And his first attack is going to be a 9. The next one's going to be a 24.
24 might just about do it.
Barely.
So let's see. That is going to do 6 points of damage.
Well, that's a shame that I rolled minimum of my
6.
healing.
Oh, so he sort of strikes at you. You're trying to like turn back, but you're kind of just exhausted. And so as the crowd, you do get the satisfaction of seeing the crowd jeering as Gerald is continuing to run away out of the field of battle. But Elston kind of stands above, and you hear as you slip into unconsciousness people yelling, "Dale! Dale! Dale! Dale!" as the first captain of Dale, Elston, has defeated you and is the ultimate winner of the Grand Melee.
It's the home team advantage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these things happen. Nonetheless, you acquitted yourself very well. I think it was worth doing that just so you could get that bastard off the dealt with. I think that was reasonable. But so the healers all attend to your wounds. They immediately kind of get themselves gathered and arranged and everything, and everyone is restored to your regular hit point totals. And let's get some music.
I go and shake Elston's hand.
And Helston grips yours and inclines his head, and he says, "I'm sorry, my lord. Gave me no pleasure to do that. I am glad, however, that you were able to defeat the Bjorning. He is a powerful man in combat, but sometimes his actions trouble me. I have heard rumors, and in fact I am reminded of a combat I was in some years ago. There was one such as him, just as fierce, if not more so. He fought like an animal. I am glad that you were able to defeat him and maintain your honor in doing so. He has this kind of hoarse, like, type of thing.
Robot likes it. He appreciates another rugged man when he sees one. And says...
And I ship it.
And Robar nods and says, well, if I had to be beaten by someone, I'm glad that it's you.
And
Well thought, sir.
And
Is Callous
Elston,
Whisper playing in the background? Please tell me.
Elston nods. He goes over and he checks on each of you on the river and on Inga. And he says, both of you also fought bravely. I was occupied on this side of the battle, but there is no shame in falling to one of his strength. And he kind of nods in the direction of the shamed and departing Gerald. And he says, but there is your fourth companion who is missing. Where is he?
Might be in bed. Not too sure. Where do we leave? Where do we actually leave him? Is he back at the tavern?
He's back at the the room in the inn. And he says, well, I know there is to be a great feast celebrating what has been done tonight. And my understanding is that it will be a feast that will perhaps convey some valuable information. I will be there representing King Bard. If your companion is willing to come, I would be honored to have him. I do not know his circumstances, of course, but I will leave it to you to decide. In any case, I hope all of you will be able to come as my honored guests.
I'm sure we'd all be honored to. Thank you, my lord.
And he nods and then departs, and as he does so, Bannock comes up, just beaming again, and says, "It was a great fight, a great fight. Not a victory in this particular case, but you fought well. I had no idea, my lord, or that is to say, I had a suspicion, but no idea that your royalty was as you described it. It is my honor to welcome you to our town. I am sorry that you could not win, but Elstan is himself a great warrior, and you maintained your honor with the two other victories as well."
You can't win them all. You got to let the competition, at least have a shot. I won one of the competitions already.
Indeed, and you will be well rewarded for it. I hope to see all of you there tonight. Will the fourth of your number be with us?
I believe so.
And he nods. He says, good. I hope to see all of you there to celebrate all of what you have done for us. I must go and make preparations. The feast starts very soon. I will see you there then.
Very good.
And he kind of bows slightly and then runs off. And you can see that the crowd is sort of cheering. A lot of the warriors are like picking themselves out of the mud as the healers tend to them and kind of staggering off towards the feast hall where this is going to happen. So, so as you are moving, sort of starting to move towards them, I need to ask, are any of you going to run back and try to get Tawny or not?
I guess we should head back.
How much time is there between now
Not
and then?
long. Your impression is that this is going to start in maybe like 15-20 minutes. Like people are heading there now, so...
I say we send a river, so Tran has to do both voices at the same time.
What do you think of this? Well,
I think I'm going to stick around here. Does one of us want to go and get Tawny? I feel like we should at least send word. Maybe we could send a runner.
If anybody's gonna be able to get him out of his room, then it's gonna be River, probably. Like, I'm not gonna be able to convince him.
Yeah. She has a way with words.
She would, being the bard and whatnot. But I think, given the conversation that they just had, I suspect that she would not.
Okay.
Or she knows him well enough to know that he's not going to say yes.
Right.
I guess we have a conversation then where River would tell us, like,
about that.
It's probably not worth it. Yeah.
Okay. That's reasonable if that's what the River would do. Okay, so then the three of you then in that case, while Tani remains in the room as night is falling, head over there. And actually, the feast hall, it turns out that you're being led to is a party tent, an enormous party tent which has been that has been raised in the market square. And as you enter this is a feast. Now, you may remember, of course, that when you first started this adventure, you were adventuring with one Rosie Burrows, a hobbit. This is a feast even by hobbit standards. It is a spread to end all spreads. There are, roast turkeys and roast chickens and potatoes and root vegetables of every description. And there is they're incredible, like vegetables, fresh vegetables. And there's all kinds of stuff, which is just, crazy go nuts impressive, right? And
all the kinds of foods Robar's people don't have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah, there's a lot. Exactly.
Wow, this feels like.
Do you do the thing in the hotel, like where you try to put all the extra rolls in the napkin, like, you can bring back to the room? So there's tons of stuff. There are, of course, barrels of wine and casks of ale. Tourney fighting is thirsty work, naturally. And as you enter, you can see that King Bard, as Elston had told you, is not present. Neither is King Dane, Inga. Apparently Dane is not there either, nor is Gandalf the Grey. But Bomber, of course, would never miss free food. He is in a place of honor at the high table, and as you look, you see that there are two open spots that have been kept open, and you are led to them as the winners of the archery and the horse riding contests. So you're brought over there and sort of placed in those spots of honor, and an extra spot is cleared out so that basically Inga can also be there, basically, so that all.
I was about to say, just gotta sit on the side, just stand by the buffet.
Yeah, just sits there like at the kids' table. No, you are given a place of honor as well. And in front of the high table where all of this feast is laid out is a plinth that has on it the chest of gold that is, it's not open, it's closed at the moment, but you can see that it's heavy, it's very heavy looking, and it's bound, bound with steel bands. And you can see from a woodworking perspective, Inga, that it looks like it's been very nicely put together. Looks very fancy, very dramatic, possibly even dwarven made. And so the feast begins. There is music, there is dancing, there is laughter, there is a whole lot of stuff. And about a little bit of the ways into the feast, you can see Bannock himself arrives. And he comes up and everyone sort of cheers as Bannock arrives, and he waves at everyone, and he climbs theatrically up to the high table, and then he points to his throat and shrugs and shakes his head, and someone yells, "He's lost his voice!" And Bannock, nods sheepishly, like,
Crowd erupts in thankful cheering.
Yeah, thank God. And then all of a sudden you hear, "Oh, look, it's wonderful to see all of you. Dindy is there." No, I'm just kidding. Dindy Brody Buck did not actually make the trip. So he picks up one of the three purses of treasure, and he mimes drawing a bow. And then he goes over and he gives the purse to you, Robar, with much bowing, and everyone cheers. And you hear the cheer of Staunton, and the Stauntons, and stuff like that as you're getting it. And and he claps you on the back and everything. And as you can open the pouch if you wish. Actually, Robar, it's up to you. I don't know if you want to or not.
Yeah, I secretly do when I was looking.
100 silver pieces inside it. So
Woo!
Good amount of money. That is no joke.
You're gonna insult me by counting it in front of me?
Yeah, it's like, just hold on 1 second. 1, 2, 3.
Wait a second. My people are really poor.
Yeah, it's a lot of silver. So it's 100 silver, and that's definitely going to help with restocking and everything. So
just waiting for Robar to get a new title, Robar Beggar King or something.
I want to be legitimate king.
Right, exactly. So and then he then flexes his muscles, and he gives the second purse to the winner of the wrestling contest, who is a very, very chastened looking Gerald. And he gives the purse to him, and there's kind of a like golf claps, like people are not
person
yeah,
back
like
in
they're
the back.
not really. And he kind of looks at everybody, kind of almost glares at them sullenly, and then sits back down. And Bannock is kind of like, sort of like, hey, tries to, but people are not so happy about that one. And then finally, As a servant passes by, he leaps onto the back of the passing servant and rides him around like a horse, and he grabs the third pouch as he passes by, and he tosses it to the river. Assuming that the river grabs it, the crowd laughs. Does the river grab it, actually, Trent?
Out of the air.
Oh, yeah. So Bomber lets loose a great and he rocks back on his couch, and there is a snap, and the couch breaks, and he falls back onto his back, and the crowd bursts into laughter. And Inga, you look and you see as he rolls back to his feet, he's momentarily angry, but then he sees everyone laughing, and then he's just like, and he starts laughing anyway. So everyone's having a great time. And finally, Bannock goes to the chest itself, and he sort of gestures to Elston, who steps forward, and Bannock beckons all of you to sort of come closer, like, excitedly. So others do that. You can do that too. I just don't want to assume.
Yeah.
Okay. He throws open the chest, digs his hands in, and flings something towards the crowd. And as he flings it, he screams, because coming from his hands are not a shower of coins, but a set of snakes. The chest is full of snakes, and he's screaming because a couple of them apparently have bit him. The snakes swarm everywhere, and immediately there is panic. Everyone in the room is freaking out, flipping out, running around, and as he falls to the ground, just as he falls to the ground, I need both... I need all three of you to make a perception check for me.
I had it with these motherfucking
I want these mother-eater snakes out of this mother bleeping feast.
It had to be snakes. 25. Hey, wow, look at these rolls.
You all see that as he falls to the ground.
We know our snakes.
As he falls to the ground, you see that something has happened to his face, and you can see that what he was wearing actually was some kind of a strange mask. It is not Bannock. It is the face of the jester Herod, and he looks terrified, like absolutely terrified. I need all of you now to make dexterity saving throws, and I want to know if you're trying to dodge these snakes or to kill them.
Kill.
Okay.
Kill.
That's what I figured, but so you're gonna need to make dexterity saving throws to do all of that, because they're like. Psss.
Can we like use animal handling, like you know how like some people with snakes like just like know how to handle them?
I would normally say yes, Terry, but the reason you can't do it here is because it's a swarm of them. You don't have time to say easy snake, like you're getting swarmed by them. So there's no. If it was just one snake, you could probably take the time to work on it. You can't do that with this swarm.
Okay, so dex.
There's like 100 at least, if not more.
What about parcel? No.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh God, we knew it was gonna happen sometime. Okay, most of you do so, but as you try to dodge and sort of swing your sword down, Robar, one reaches up and bites you. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh.
Roll high, just in case you weren't aware.
16. Okay, yeah.
You're up. You feel, however, very ill. And you're not the only one, because as you're standing there, River and Inga both, who of course have eaten and drunk at this feast, you also start to feel dizzy. I need both of you to make Constitution saving throws too, although it's not going to be as difficult.
This is poison, I'm assuming.
This is a kind of poison,
because I do have resistance to poison.
It is poison. This, however, is very strong, though, Inga. This looks like it was, in fact, if you had... Well, let's see if you make the saving throw, and then I'll tell you what the results of all that are.
No, I'm just, like, asking does my, like, resistance to poison...
It is going to help, yes.
Okay, so what was it?
I need you to make a con save for me. If the river had been bitten,
13?
that would not have helped, but because she only ate the food, that will actually help a little bit. Okay, now here's the deal. So all of you who are successful do not collapse, but you, and this includes you, Inga, feel very, very ill. This poison is extremely potent, and if you had to guess, this poison was probably made specifically to try to be strong enough for dwarves, because as you look around the feast, you can see a number of people who are beginning to collapse, and the ones who are sort of standing are people like Bomber. Like, Bomber is not collapsed, but he looks ill, but a lot of the humans, the elves, all of them, a lot of them are falling and sort of struggling to the ground, and people leap to their feet as the snakes kind of slither away and are starting to be killed now. And now there is calling, there's crying and yelling and calling for doctors. Tani, in your room, I'm going to guess that Tani's not sleeping too well. This is just my guess.
He's actually prepping.
Okay. So you heard sounds of festivities because it's in the square, the market square, so it's not that far from you. So you can hear the cheering, but you now hear very clearly screaming and shrieking coming from the party tent. Definitely. I don't know whether you want to do anything about that or not, but you definitely hear that the tenor and tone has changed.
And it definitely sounds like people who need help.
I mean, they sound freaked out about something. It's not stopping. So
Well, he long ago committed himself to helping people in need, and so he's gonna go.
Okay. All right. Now, so as I'm going to assume that Tani is running to then do that. As Tani is heading to do that and people are calling for doctors, you can see that there are still some snakes slithering over near Herod. And of course, he's already been bitten already. Are you, Robar, Inga, and the River going to try to kill the snakes that are attacking him? Or are you going to like look at him and laugh? Like, what are you doing?
Kill.
He's a jester. Of course we're gonna laugh. But we can kill and laugh. At the same
Kill and
time.
laugh at the same time, I think.
Right,
is the move, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're able to do that. You're able to sort of pull the snakes away from him, but he still is very ill and he sort of slips into unconsciousness. And Elston, who has still standing but seems woozy, is kind of like, what is the meaning of this? Send the guards. The guards. And he kind of chokes and coughs. You can see that of the people at the feast, maybe maybe 5 non-dwarves are standing. Like everyone else is unconscious or maybe worse. And Tani, as you arrive, you can see that there are hundreds of people, and you hear as you walk in this, and something is slithering past your foot. As you don't really see it well because it's dark, but you kind of like, and when you walk in, you can see the scene that I've described previously. Your companions are standing to the front. They look woozy, but basically unharmed. Except for Robar, who looks pretty like strongly woozy, basically.
Okay. Well, clearly they are people who will probably know what's going on. I imagine by the time I get there, Robar is pretty delirious and is grabbing Elston and going, "If you die, can I have your gold?"
More or
I need
less.
it for my people.
And he looks like he's in bad shape.
How like conscious is Inga right now? Like
Conscious, but feeling quite ill. In combat, you would be at disadvantage, like ability checks disadvantage. You're in bad shape right now. As are the rest of your companions. Robar looks like he's about to become unconscious.
But definitely conscious enough to see a Beorning
yeah.
barreling towards her at full speed.
Yes.
No, not again!
No, like Inga's probably shouldering Robar so that he doesn't topple over, and as soon as she notices Tani, the food was poisoned.
Okay, so you hear that, and you see there's a lot of food and a lot of it eaten, and you also see what looks like a bunch of smashed snakes on the ground.
Was it poisoned with snakes?
No! There are also snakes! Help us!
No. Yeah, of course.
You got to ask Matt. Okay.
He's gonna.
Magic word!
No, he's definitely gonna move to help as quickly as possible.
Okay. You will need to make a medicine check. Now, right now, you need to make a medicine check on everybody, but the people who are most in danger at the moment are Robar, who literally slips into unconsciousness as you arrive, and the Jester, who's on the ground unconscious already. Inga and the River are up, but look in bad shape.
Can we assist Tani, even though we are both not in great shape?
I don't think you're in a condition. I mean, you can try, but you're not going to be much help. You're in pretty bad shape.
Well, I want to try.
You can. I mean, if you tell me how you're going to try.
Well, like basically, do whatever Tani tells her to do. Like.
Okay. Don't die. All right.
Well, close. I mean, I can tell you what Tani would tell her to tell her to do. Both of them, actually.
Okay.
He would hand them some little, it almost looks like not necessarily spent tea leaves, but just wadded up tiny balls of plant mass.
Okay.
And he would hand it to both of them and say, chew that. And that's what he would tell them to do.
Okay,
Can you
then
tell me, by the way,
here's
what kind
gonna
of...
do that and kill more snakes that like might be in reach.
That sounds good. I'm going to need to have you make a check in a second, but Tani, can you tell me what kind of herbs these are? Reed mace, no. What kind of herbs these are?
This time it's kingsfoil.
Kingsfoil. Okay, that actually works really well.
That grows everywhere.
So I'm going to need you to make here a the poison that you're dealing with here. It seems to have a slight effect, but not a great effect. But it gives you enough of effect to tell you what you're dealing with here. You have seen poison like this before. I need you to make a medicine check, and this is going to be to see how this works on Inga. So make a medicine check for me, and I'm going to let you know what the effect of that is.
19.
Okay. Yeah, so fortunately that strong dwarven constitution is helpful as she becomes the guinea pig for this. What you're dealing with here is a kind of poison which was not manufactured here. It was manufactured elsewhere and is only able to be healed normally with a kind of purgative herb, which are rare in the north. So not only was this not manufactured here, but there are not a lot of herbs here to be able to tend to it. You can talk to a couple of the local hero healers. There's like one of them that is on her feet at the moment, and ask if you wish. You have a couple of them yourself. You probably have enough to heal your companions if you're successful at doing so, but you're probably not going to be able to heal anyone beyond that. Maybe Herod. You might have enough to do.
I have another idea.
Okay.
A purgative.
Okay.
And I look at any of the nearest healers that are here, and I tell them, put salt in water, make them drink it.
And the healers sort of nod woozily, and so next thing you hear, it's a vomitorium. Like a lot of people thrown up. That's what purge means. So they are, they do so. They seem, as they do so, like they are not going to die, but they definitely look not healthy.
Right.
And the full healing, as you sort of chat as you talk urgently with one of the healers, they tell you that they have also seen something like this before, and that there are herbs in Mirkwood that could probably tend to this, but that it's going to take a couple of weeks to gather them. Like, you can't just get these sort of, immediately. Also, I want to mention that I'm going to have you roll medicine checks for each of your companions now to see how this works. Robar, though, seems to be suffering from a different kind of poison than the others. The ones that are dealing with the wine are dealing with one kind of poison. Robar seems to be almost shaking. It seems to be a different effect. That may be a result of being bitten by a snake, perhaps. Herod also.
It's a venom, not a poison.
Right, and Herod is in the same boat. So how do you want to tend to Robar and Herod, and then I'll have you deal with the river?
Well, we'll just overturn Herod's boat, because that's funny too. Jesters falling out of boats is always hysterical. Let's see. Do we have an especially strong tea on the table?
Maybe, but it's impossible to tell if it's poison too.
Right. And they specified wine, so I figured.
Right.
The only
well,
thing.
Wine was most of it, but yeah. Certainly, if you brought any water with you, etc., from the inn, that's safe.
He didn't.
He's too busy getting there.
Just had a big barrel on his back. Might need this. Never know. Okay. So Inga's doing better?
Yes. So Inga, having made the role that you made, Inga seems to be doing better. Where
she is shuffling through her pockets looking for a breath mint.
Yes, basically, you feel not very happy about stuff, Inga, and your stomach feels like it's been twisted from the inside, but you also do not feel sick anymore.
All right. If there's anyone who can help you, bring fresh water.
On it.
Okay.
And Inga grabs whatever I'm assuming there should be well, if there are any buckets, they're now full of puke, I'm assuming. But like, if there are like any tankards or anything large enough, like she empties them out on the floor and runs with them, and like waves over like whoever else looks like they can help her get water.
Okay. That's a couple of your kin, because most of the humans are useless at this point, so the dwarves kind of stumble over. Bomber kind of is like, what do you need? He looks like kind of like a ship listing to port, like
I'll first lose about 200 pounds, and then you might be able to help us.
That's fetching.
very dangerous over short distances.
Sure you are, yes.
Although that said, his bulk seems to make it so that he might not be as affected, actually. He seems to be not feeling well, but not... And he says, I've had worse from the spiders, but I know what poison is. You want water, I heard. I'll get some. And he he goes off and, he sort of starts yelling at people to help him, most of whom kind of feebly gesture at him as he passes by. But there are a couple of dwarves that join him. Yeah, go ahead, Charles.
So getting back to these two. I'm trying to remember. I mean, Tawny would know just right off the bat which herbs to use. I, however, have not memorized them.
Bit of basil, sage, chuck it on there. Bit of
Well,
tarragon.
Yeah, I was also thinking bay leaf, the Mediterranean bay, not California bay. 'Cause California bay is a relative of the
Yes.
eucalyptus tree, and and clove. A little bit of clove probably help too. No, it really wouldn't. The site where the bite occurred, I mean, there's probably many on Harrod.
Yes.
But like one on Robar. Does it look still inflamed, or can you see that the toxins are beginning to spread throughout the...
It looks the toxins are definitely beginning to spread. But it does still look inflamed. They're not large bites. I mean, none of these snakes.
I mean,
are
like,
large.
is there like a coloration change to like the veins and...
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so see what sort of condition is the river in?
The river is in a similar condition to how Inga was. So not unconscious, but not feeling great. And her slight frame and the fact that she is not a dwarf has an impact on her ability to handle this too.
Right, but is she conscious enough to assist with something?
Maybe. Probably.
Basically, he's going to start making small incisions and trying to draw the poison.
Okay. Let me have you make a medicine check. I'll give you +1 with her help, but that's all, and that's probably as good as she's going to get. Yeah, Marinda, you'd be surprised about the body weight. Not necessarily. They're pretty dense. 23. Okay. So, and you were doing this to Robar, right?
You said +1, right?
+1, so 24?
24.
And that's to Robar, yes?
Correct.
Okay, so as you do this, you're able to see the color gradually return to his face. Robar, you come back to consciousness, see kind of Tawny looking over at you, the concerned face. You see the sick face of
with
River
blood
next to him.
in his
Yeah,
lips.
literally. It's like, and you're like, you do not feel well, but you feel conscious and better than you did when you were knocked out.
Did I win?
You're alive.
I feel awful.
Good. That's a great place to start. And he turns to Harrod.
Okay. Harrod, who looks very almost gray at this point. So if you want River to help you again, you can do that. Still going to be +1. This looks like he's in worse shape.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, because there's multiple bites.
Right.
Natural 20.
Wow. Damn. So as you sort of draw forth the blood, you are reminded, I think, Tawny, you talked quite a bit last session about the flavor in your mouth, and you were reminded about this, but I would say, you can tell me how you feel about it, but I would say that there is something different for you about the experience of doing that in a healing context as opposed to doing it in a fighting one. And it just sort of comes to you a little bit that probably not far from here is where you had done those terrible things. And yet here you are sort of healing someone under the same context. And mustering all of that healing ability together, you can see the color return to his face. And finally he kind of comes to and he's like, snakes, where are they? Are they? And he's sort of like looking around, flailing about. What happened? Uh-oh. Boy, do I love having this go down all the time.
A lot of them, so it's quite nice, really.
Hey, he's back.
There
I
it
don't
is.
know what is going on today.
We'll go away again. We were talking about food.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I'm gonna have to recycle this modem again. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
it's doing wonders for channel numbers. It's really awesome. Anyway,
Wow.
we are
Full of
back,
pain.
and so
Are we?
yeah. Well, we are back. We will be reconnecting again in just a
Okay.
minute.
I was
So
gonna
hold
say,
on, 'cause
really, 'cause
you're,
it still
you're
looks
still live
online.
on the recording, so don't say anything you wouldn't want to say otherwise.
Uh-oh.
Because
Oh, well, while you weren't here. Yes,
no, they
we
didn't
were.
hear that. I mean, I don't know what you were talking about. You could have
That's
been saying
okay.
anything, and I'd have no idea.
About how I'm hungry.
Yeah, we were talking about ramen.
Can't imagine why.
Mm.
Okay, this will be reconnected in just a minute.
All that talk of vomit really got us.
Yeah,
Really got us thinking.
I recently saw an advertisement for like a Chinese takeout place in Scotland called Wok Ness.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. Please refresh. I have no idea what's going on today. But again, it's the second time the internet went down completely. So there must be something going on in this area, and I don't know what it is, but it's
We better
bothersome.
wrap up quick.
So yeah, we're gonna try to wrap up what we can here. So when you reached, so I had said something to you, and then you froze, and I thought you were lost in thought, and then I realized
no,
everyone was frozen.
you
I'm
froze.
like, no. So what did you hear from me last then?
The shadow had been defeated. The chains melted down and gone.
No. Herod
Oh,
was
well.
freaking out about something.
Right, he was saying snakes. Snakes. I said it's okay.
Snakes.
They're gone.
Right.
He
He grabs your arm. This is what I was saying. So he grabs your arm and he said it was just a joke. He's supposed to be here with the gold and everyone should be laughing. Where is he? What he's done to me?
Who?
What has he done? Bannock! And you see that there is
Twist.
no sign of said Bannock.
Well, my silver better be real.
It immediately
Silver does
burst.
look Your silver
all-
does indeed look to be real.
It is, however, made of lithium, and as soon as it gets wet, bang! Sorry, potassium. No.
So it must be the corrupting influence of the Dark Lord. Could quite well be, Ace there. That's quite possible. So, so as you begin to sort of, so you can ask Herod more questions if you wish. That is up to you, but he's terrified.
Slap that mask off his face.
Okay. So you do that.
Where was he when he told you to do this?
He says he was yesterday. He hired me to play a joke. He said I was supposed to disguise myself as him, and that I would pretend to have lost my voice cheering, and I was supposed to present to be a chest, and then I was going to reveal that I was actually me, and it was going to be a big joke. That's what he told me. And then he said not to worry, and just he would give me a pouch of silver, and he smiled, and I thought it was fine. I needed the work anyway.
This guy.
Where did you last see him?
He told me that the chest would be already placed after the fight, the melee contest. He said, "Go, you're on." And he smiled at me and then disappeared. Maybe an hour ago now. And Elston is kind of standing there, having come over and shaking his head, and he says, "Poisonous beast." And you hear, "My lord!" And someone stumbling in is one of Elstan's lieutenants, obviously, comes running over to him, looking pretty wobbly himself, actually, and kind of grabs his arm. And Elston says, Easy, what's wrong?" And he says, "One of the boats, Lord, is missing, gone, ripped from its moorings. Whoever it was left at least an hour ago. And the town treasury, one of the chests is gone." And Elston sort of turns with his eyes wide and looks back at you and looks around at all of his warriors and all of the people who were lying poisoned on the ground, and sort of just has this horrified expression on his face, and he says, "We've been betrayed." And I think that is where we are going to bring this session to a close.
Huzzah!
We started in a competition and ended in snakes and betrayal from Bannock. How could Bannock?
How could you do this to
And
us?
it's always the jester who gets in trouble. Like always, you can never trust him. So.
Like in Skyrim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can say that during our next session, of course, Crossings of the Selduin is the overall goal, but this part that we're going into is called Raven's Tidings. So you can take that as you will for what that actually means. So I'm really sorry to everybody about the internet problems today. That sucked because, but we did manage to get through the session and get a lot done. I'm just sorry that we had the problems en route. I will start, as always, at the bottom of the column, which of course is with someone who is not with us. It's too bad. I have a feeling Amal would have enjoyed this, but Amal is not here today. Instead, she is on her way off to Worldcon in Dublin. And
Hi, Nordwolf, just
hey,
in time.
Hi, Nordwolf. Almost by Nordwolf. Good to see you, Nordwolf. But she's on her way to Dublin, so we wish, of course, Amal all the best, and we will, of course, see her back here next month. Make sure you all buy this. Go buy this You'll Lose the Time War. If you've not done so already, it's got all this buzz. It's good. Many of us have gotten it, so go get it. And yes, and follow her on all the things. That moves us right up to Terry. Terry, a lot of fun stuff today from Inga. We got some competitions. We got the Dwarven Constitution thing that you needed to tap into and stuff like that. And you were closing in on when you'll actually be able to speak to King Dane, but you've been busy since you've been here, I think. So how'd you feel about today, and where will the lovely people see you next?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna put my entire PC into dice jail after the session.
Yeah, that's true. You were like the opposite of Will. Like everything Will was just like 20s, and you were having trouble. Thank you for the resub, Nordwolf. Thank you so much for the tier 2 resub. I appreciate it. Still here. Thank you, dude. So how'd you feel about stuff besides the PC dice jail, Terry?
This was a lot of fun, obviously. And the plot is back. right before like a bit of downtime, just like partying and stuff and contest stuff. So now
Suddenly snakes.
suddenly snakes.
Yep.
Very scary. So yes, wonder what that all is about.
So do I.
I already earlier said like the first time your internet crashed to the other guys about how like I'm always like, oh, today is gonna be the day that Inga gets to meet her family again, and nope.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you will get to see the family is going to happen before you get sent off on something major. It might be a little speedier of a reunion than you planned. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Oh, hey, got you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of fun as always. And where gonna people see me next? I don't know when the next stream is planned.
Probably, well, so you won't be here next week,
month?
but
No,
2
next
weeks.
week I can't because my boyfriend is on holiday and
I totally understand. Gotta hang with the boyfriend. I get that.
yeah, well, it's a long distance relationship, okay?
Yeah, no, I get it. I
So-
totally get that. 2 weeks from now, though, which is Tuesday the 27th, will you be available? Because if so, that's when I would schedule the game book illustration for that.
That should be fine for me.
Okay. Because we've done our 2 sessions for this month for AME, so we will return from that in September. So, okay, cool. So you will not see Terry there, but you will see her in 2 weeks. Otherwise, where can they follow you? Where can they find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, that kind of stuff. The name is TariToons everywhere. Just Google me, pick something that works.
Good stuff. Thank you, Terry. Always a pleasure. And yes, the reunion, I promise, is happening. Trust me. It's not. I'm not gonna. It's It's just got to deal with some snakes. That's all, and betrayal and all that, and all of the warriors of Dale being poisoned. I mean, I'm sure that's not going to be a problem for anything. But moving right along, of course, we have. Thank you, Terry. Always a pleasure. We have Will, who got a chance to do a lot of stuff today. Will, your
Killed
rolls
it
were
today.
off the hook. My God. You were
I don't know
just
what happened.
on fire, winning competitions and all that, revealing
Yeah.
royalty and getting bit by snakes. So
Man,
it was eventful. How'd you feel about that?
the only thing is, I wish I had won that last one, but it was very stressful all the way through. And I'm glad that he won the one that he was like going for. He wanted to win the archery one.
And you
so,
took down Gerald, so I mean, there's
took
that,
down Gerald.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was a douchebag. So yeah, that was really fun. That was an intense session. I was stressed the whole time through all my rolls. But they came through. Like 4 or 5 nat 20s. I have to go look at the log. One nat 1, whatever. So that was great. And betrayal. And I love the snakes as well. When you were like, this dude's got snakes all over him. I'm like, what? That's gross. And also just something I wasn't expecting in Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like a box of snakes.
Yes.
It's like, that's gross in Tolkien.
Yes, but again, the one thing that's actually an interesting
Love it.
thematically in Tolkien is the poison. Spiders,
Yeah,
spider
yeah.
poison. There is quite a bit of that description. Not so much snakes, but definitely spiders. And so, it was interesting, kind of looking at how that was. And I was just thinking about, how'd you like to be Herod and just be like, oh, what? Like the horror. Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly,
Aside from
yeah.
the fighting, it would have been fun.
Oh yeah, it'd been great.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that's that was a lot of fun. Can't wait for our next session next month, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, and looking forward to seeing my new brooch as well. When
Terry has her
Robar-
homework. Yep.
Yes.
when
Tell me
Robar
what
reads.
you want on it, and then I can design
Yeah.
around it.
I'd actually
Yeah,
love to see if it looks really cool. It'd be cool if that could actually get made as a brooch. Like that would be pretty badass, right? Like once the design is done. I wonder if because we have people who do.
Then put it in the store so everybody could buy a brooch.
That's a good thought. I hadn't thought of that. See, that's thinking.
Annabelle pins with a coat of arms on it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That way we do it and we also monetize everything. This is a really good idea. Anyway, and I get sued out of existence by the Tolkien estate, but it's fine. Actually, no, you know what? I wouldn't because just because it's appropriate doesn't mean that it's actually going to rip off runes from Lord of the Rings. So, it's like the stuff we have in the store is just characters that we created that are it says AME on the shirt. It doesn't even say Middle Earth. It's just Avant,
Sue us.
you
Try it.
modeling elephants.
Don't try
I mean, it's very simple. So anyway, but
yeah,
where will
yeah,
the fine
of course.
folks see you next, Will?
You can find me on Encounter Roleplay or on Kobo Press on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Encounter Roleplay or twitch.tv/Kobo Press. I'm the Twitch director over there. So yeah, go follow me there if you like the kind of stuff we're up to here. That's all from me. Yeah, thank you again.
Awesome, thanks, Will. And at least your internet is working and your Zoom is fine now. It's just I need to get
It goes around.
Yeah, right, exactly. Only
pass it
one
around.
person can have good internet at a time. What's up, Paxi? Good to see you. Thank you, Will. Always a pleasure. And last but certainly not least, Tren, the only good thing about not having Amal here was that at least it meant that you were able to be involved with everything because you were able to play the river for a portion of it. And then you did get involved, in the last half hour or so, you had to get involved as Tani with stuff too. So how'd you feel about today and where will the lovely folks see you next?
Like I said, aside from the biting, being covered in snakes is fantastic.
Yeah.
I like snakes a lot, so I don't have a problem with them crawling all over me.
Right.
It's just the biting and the venom that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's the drawback.
I very much liked today. I thought it was fun to get to play the river. I honestly I would much rather that she be here.
Sure.
Because I felt like I have no idea what she would do in this case. I know that just going for the melee thing, yeah, that I think she would go for it because overconfidence.
Yes.
I think I think she would do that. The rest of it, I was kind of like, I don't know. And then rolling in combat, that's easy. Anybody can do that. That's fine. And like I said, we fought together long enough that I think she would have an understanding of the tactics that they would likely use.
Mm-hmm.
So the metagaming thing wasn't too bad.
Right.
Tawny finally, getting out of the room and coming in. As soon as you mentioned it, I knew that he had to go because A, there are people in need of help. I mean, his friends just in general, but also it is part of being a master healer that if he does not help people who are in need of help, it counts as a misdeed against him.
Right.
And so I was like, I have to go.
That's why, and I didn't want to push this too hard, but that's why I brought up the idea of comparing it to the flavor you talked about, because I did think in that case you'd be aware of the scope of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the only thing that is still, I mean, he's not thinking about it at this moment, but I was thinking about it, was what's the guy's name?
Elston.
Yeah, Elston. I was going to say Stennis. It's like, no, it's a different guy. Elston, having already spoken about, presumably having seen Tawny, is conscious.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
Looking over.
Yep.
At the Beorning he was speaking about, who's got blood all over his face, and it's probably exactly the way he saw him at the Battle of Five Armies.
Mm-hmm.
So this is gonna be fun when we come back to this next month. Still up to your old routines.
Yeah, I see you haven't changed at all. It's like,
Exactly.
God damn it. This is different though.
This is, I'm not chewing this time.
I didn't inhale.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun. As for where people will see me next, it will be on Saturday for Infinity and Beyond.
Yes. Chris Estrade, which also had a lot of cool stuff, going on in the last few sessions, and it's gotten super creepy. By the way, if you haven't seen it, it like got real creepy. So in the last session, so yeah.
My character in that is basically kneeling in front of a gigantic 5-foot cube of water, trying to holify it.
Yeah, which is like you do. So But this was great work as always from this crew. We will of course have Amal back next month. But again, I continue to say how happy I've been with all of my campaigns, but super happy with this group, which I just think really understands how the feel of Tolkien works, and have really just been a lovely part of this story. So again, kudos to all of you. Great work. And chat, can we get some love for the wonderful players? And I will see all of you in various places. And Terry in 2 weeks, Tawny this weekend, Will, I'll see you next month. And thanks everybody. Much love to Trendane, to Will, to Terry Tunes, and of course to Amal next month. See you all soon.
Bye.
All right. So that is going to do it for that. Boy, that was a fun session. I was really waiting for that because I couldn't wait for the whole throwing the snakes thing, and I was just like, it's gonna be great. So it was awesome. All right, now because we have scheduled things a little bit differently, he says as he transitions over. Let me get rid of this music. This, by the way, is my favorite just sort of traveling music type of thing that we're playing right now called Willow in the Light. This is Kevin MacLeod. Which actually now would be a little bit different. I need to come up with snake music. But anyway, so let me just exit this. Hang on 1 second whilst I exit this here. Yeah, cheap Foot Locker, Walmart, a few thousand rubber snakes at the dollar store. That's a good thought. I should have done that. Problem is, though, it's just not going to have the same feel if I just throw it at the screen, you know, and all of them are just going to be like, oh, well, that happened. And, you know, anyway. So, but we are going to be going over to Pen and Pixels GOG at 4 p.m. Remember, 4 p.m. today, we've got GOG Pen and Pixels. I'm going to be continuing Pathfinder Kingmaker. And then tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Irvocalist with Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, assuming, of course, that my goddamn internet doesn't go out again. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to recycle the modems and check everything and make sure that, I don't know what's going on with the internet out here, but this ain't my doing on this one. This is not OBS. OBS is fine. This is whatever's going on here. So, but we do have to do something first, and that is because next week Terry's not going to be here. She's going to be here the week after. What that means is that I've got to do the Patreon Field Chat Jones Game of the Month next week, which is fine. I can totally do that because we do have time to do it. But it means that I've got to have us nominate. So I am going to, you feel your internet pain. Yeah, I saw, though, that you said that it was working now, Nordwolf, that it was fixed now? You mean that you remember it from the past? It was fine until today. Like, all of a sudden today, it just went down completely for some reason, and I have no idea why. So it's really odd. Okay, let me pop up ArvBot, which should be visible on the screen right there. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to put in here is... Now remember, this is going to be for next Tuesday. So I will take the first 6 nominations from people. Again, please, only 1 nomination per person. I reserve the right to veto anything that I can't get quickly or that I don't want to play because it's a horror game or something like that. But otherwise, I will try to be more broad-based about it if I can. So please let me know by typing in what nominations you'd like me to put in here. What game would you like me to try for next month? Not for next month, for next week. Throw your nominations out there, please. That is awesome, Nordwolf. I'm really glad about that. So nominations, game nominations, please. I can do PC, I can do 3DS, I can do Game Boy Advance, I can do Game Boy Color, I can do Nintendo Switch, I can do PS4, I can do Intellivision, I can do most systems. Most of them. What do we got? Any game-ish. Yes. I mean, again, I reserve the right to veto if it's a game that doesn't seem to fit the description. Well, Don't Starve is fine if you want me to give that a shot. Vikings. Okay. Strategy. I'll try. I don't know. I'll do what I can. All right. Strategy of Ultimate Conquest. Growlancer 2. Okay. Description for what? What do you mean, Nordwolf? What do you mean by description? I am confused. Oh, so yeah, what is Viking's strategy of Ultimate Conquest? Is that, I assume, real-time strategy, turn-based strategy? Don't Starve is basically kind of survival game, like top-down. I've seen it played. It's like a resource-gathering survival game, essentially. Viking strategy of Ultimate Conquest, I don't know. I need to hear from S there what kind of game it is. And Growlancer 2 is RPG, yes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, what kind of game I'm looking for? I don't care, as long as it's not horror. As long as it's not horror and I haven't played it before, or am going to play it again anyway. Like, for example, choosing Deus Ex doesn't make any sense because I'm already playing Deus Ex. You know what I mean? Or if I'm going to be playing it soon. So that's basically the idea. So anybody else? I have not played Horizon Zero Dawn. Nope. Horizon Zero Dawn is also fine. Although currently you have one nomination up there already nonstop, so I may not take another one from you depending on if other people have one. Would you rather Growlancer 2 or Horizon Zero Dawn? I know you've been on Growlancer 2 for a while, so I don't know if you want to take a better shot, a chance at this at the moment. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I take it back. I forgot that nonstop. You guys literally were right above each other, and you have both start with N, and both have the same number of letters in your name. So I didn't even look carefully. My bad. Okay, so Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay, my bad. Okay, so we've got Don't Starve, Vikings, Strategy of Ultimate Conquest, Growlancer 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Anyone else? I will take 2 other nominations, and if not, if we don't have any other nominations, that's okay. Yours is adventure, real-time map travel, ship combat, one-on-one combat is real-time, squad combat is turn-based. Wow, it seems like a lot is going on. Yeah, exactly, in the same color. Oh, man. Okay. I should realize, because Nordwolf's got the red quill right now, and Nonstop has got the bronze quill. So it'll be, when Nordwolf gets all the way up to 12 months, it'll be even harder. You know? Okay. So anyone else? Last call on this. Last call. And then I'm going to open the poll, and I'm going to let people vote, and the top 3 will end up in the final list. And I'm hoping, Eridanel, if you would be willing to be so kind as to put together a vote for me on a straw poll. You finally come back, you're creating controversy. No. It's me creating controversy. Also, I'd probably be able to... I'm still... Oh, man. These progressives are good for certain things, but the computer is still driving me up a wall. Like, I still can't get my vision cleared for straight ahead of me at the computer mode. Like, that's fine. That's fine. That is still weird, so I'm still working on it. Okay, so here we go. Here is the poll. So please vote. And again, I will take the top 3 votes, top 3 vote getters. We'll go through. So please do $ vote space for the number you want. Don't Starve, Vikings, Growlancer 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn. They are indeed progressives, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is supposed to be a middle ground, but I still think they did the right lens not quite right. So I got to go back to them and get it adjusted. I think I'm coming around to liking them, I think, overall, because it does help a lot. Like when I was doing my panel stuff, being able to look down here and then look up here and not have to take my glasses off all the time is awesome. So I do like that. I just don't like the fact that when I'm looking at my computer, I always feel like there's something blurry in my vision. So that is bothering me, and that I got to get fixed. Okay, so currently we have 3 votes for the top 3. Which is doable, and no vote for great. So we got a vote each. There's no a surprise. So we are going to need to have. I don't think we're going to be able to have this. So, I went into my optometrist, my regular optometrist that I go see every 2 years. Who's been I've been seeing him since I live back in Brooklyn. So back since I don't know 12, 13 years anyway. So I saw him. And I don't think he did anything wrong. I think the optician, the guy who was at the same place didn't measure this quite right. Because if I look like, so smooth, like clear, well, if I do that, that's clear for everything. But if I'm looking straight ahead, like that right now is clear for my right eye. And I guess that's kind of clear for my left eye. But basically it means that this, like looking this way, slightly left is clear, whereas looking ahead of me is really not. So, no, there's some people lurking. And remember, we had all the people drop out because of my stupid internet problem. So, yeah. 4 active. Well, what I might end up doing, Esther, and I might end up doing this with your permission, I think it's going to be easier, because Growlancer is, let me just double check actually. Is Growlancer 2, is that PS2? It is PS2. All right, so... You would change your vote to Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Unless I have a problem with Growlancer 2, Esther, I might actually ask if you wouldn't mind moving away from that game, because it might be harder to do. So, that's okay, Aridinel. That's fine. Growlancer 2. I just want to see how expensive it is to get this. No, I don't want the audio CD. What do you... Okay. That's fine. Are we talking about the generation? No, not Generations. Growlancer 2. There we go. The Sense of Justice, is that it? Growlancer 2. Is that also called Generations Deluxe? Or is it called The Sense of Justice, maybe? Because right now I just see imports, and I'm looking for... Yeah, I appreciate that everyone's offering, but... Is it called Growlancer Sense of Justice? Is that what Growlancer 2 is called? There we go. Are these all just imports, though? What was the subtitle of Growlancer 2? Oh, Generations has 2 and 3. Oh, okay. That's fine. So I'm looking for Generations then. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Growlancer Generations is both. So that's correct, yes? This thing right here. Hey, what's up, Kevin? It is stopping in about 5 minutes, but I'm going to be over at GOG with Pen and Pixels. Is that it, nonstop? Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about Horizon Zero Dawn. $7 p.m. Eastern, Coven. But I'll also be back tonight with your vocalist at 9 p.m. So that's it? Okay. So that seems fine. Let's see. How long will it take me to get it? Will I be able to get it by next week? Is any of them have Prime? Yeesh. You have Prime, but it's expensive. How about not Prime, but we'll still get it by rise between August 19th and August 22nd. Eesh. That's tough. A lot of these are August 20th. And okay, I'll make it work. So yes, that's fine. So, okay, so the winner of this is going to be, I'm going to close this poll. I'm going to thank Esther for being understanding, and I'm going to have the top 3 be the ones that go through to the poll. So can I have you put together a Generations? No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll work it out. It's not a problem. I just wanted, it's mostly making sure that it gets here in time. That's the main issue. So, if you could put, please, Don't Starve, Growlancer 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Those are the 3 choices, Aridinel. If you could put that together, you know, like attached to the next command like we usually do. And while he is doing that, I am going to thank everybody for being a part of this awesome stream, and thank you all for joining me for Adventures of Middle-earth, day 51, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, a lot of intrigue sort of set up for next time. I'm looking forward to it. Remember all the ways to support the stream. Please follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !arvtube, the Discord with !arvcord. Check out the Twitter with !arvtweets. Website for all of this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, if you check !arv shop, you can get merchandise, including AME merchandise, which would be much appreciated. Please make sure to double check as well the Patreon, !arvtreon, right there. And then last but certainly not least, the sub button. We had a couple people jump on. We're up to about 48, 49 subs. So as more people jump on board, we'll get more of those people adding to our list as we continue to build up and push forward to the end of the year. It was awesome. Thank you, Esther. I really appreciate it so much. And I will say goodbye to everybody as soon as I know that we're cool with the poll. Let me know, Aridinel, when that's good to go. Oh, thanks, Coven. Yeah, man. I'm just not doing it anymore, dude. I'm not going to debate facts anymore with people. I'm not debating with facts. I'm just not doing it. And yeah, hopefully you do get a chance, Nordwolf. There were contests, there was fighting, and there were snakes. And there was a lot of it. So, yeah. And I think it's command. There you go. Yep. See, Aridinel, a real pro. Do you have the game titles, Aridinel? Can I get rid of this game title list? Are you good with this? I just want to make sure. Can I close down our bot? Don't Starve, Growlancer 2, Horizon Zero Dawn. Thank you. Thank you, sir, officer, and a gentleman. All right. That is cool. So that's where you go. That is the place to go. You're going to want to go right there to Don't Starve. Perfect. Absolutely did it perfectly. Thank you, Ardenel. To Don't Starve, Growlancer 2, and Horizon Zero Dawn. So get in your votes. Now that is going to close down, folks. Remember, I'm going to close that down, I think, on... Shoot. I'm probably going to have to close that down earlier. Yeah, I'll see how things go, but I'm probably going to have to close that down a little bit earlier than normal. You'll at least have until Friday, but I might have to close it on Friday because I'm going to need to make sure I have enough time to actually get and install the game. So you will have until Friday to be able to get your votes in for something like this. Exactly, Coven. Totally the case. But I'm going to get on out of here because we got Pen and Pixels coming up at the top of the hour. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And remember, tonight, our vocalists with Ace Attorney, with Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. It's going to be awesome. Thank you for being wonderful people tonight. Thanks to my wonderful mods, to Aridinel, Shadowed Mage was here earlier. Thank you so much to my wonderful subscribers, Aridinel, Nonstop, Nordwolf, and of course, Trendane. Great work tonight, Tren, as always today. Good stuff as always. Thank you to Esther for being so kind. Thank you to Commander Root, Coven Guy as always. Thank you to Crimnus. Thank you to ECAG, to Gorgar. Thank you to Host Me Raffle. Thank you to Caro M. What's up, Caro? Thank you to Lurks. Thank you to Moobot, I guess. Thank you to Nedvid. Thank you to Poltergeist Zero, to Shadowner. Thank you to Stay Hydrated Bot for always keeping me hydrated. Thank you to Suspira72, you Christensen, VNK, and Virgo Praz. Please follow the channel, do all the things, and much love to everybody. And be good to each other. I'll see you in just a little bit, top of the hour, at GOG for Pen and Pixels and Pathfinder Kingmaker. Until then, be good to each other. Have a good one.